could be 40 miles long. This is Ukraine's second largest city. Kharkiv comes under a new bombardment today. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is urging Western allies to dramatically escalate their support by imposing a no-fly zone, something the US has ruled out. Dave?
Citing the Ukraine crisis will be a big topic tonight for President Biden in his State of the Union address. The polls open in an hour in Texas in the first primaries of this congressional election year. In Sacramento, California, 5 people are dead.
This was not a random sort of shooting.
Instead, Sacramento County Sergeant Rod Grassman says an estranged father killed his 3 daughters and their chaperone during a supervised visit in a church. He then killed himself. America's listening to Fox News.
Life is about being active, whether it's about going on your daily tasks or exercising. You know you're well when you're regularly active. But what happens when being active actually hurts by the end of the day? This is the position I found myself in a number of years ago. Everything I wanted to do in my daily life, all of the activity it called for, was held captive to almost constant nagging pain. When I heard about Relief Factor, I was skeptical, but my wife said, give it a chance. Not long after I took it, I could feel the pain begin to melt away, and I've been taking it ever since. And I can tell you that Relief Factor has helped me get my life back. I love that it's not a drug, but it was developed by doctors, and about 70% of the people who try it go on to order more. Your first step to becoming pain-free just might be ordering a 3-week quick start for only $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF, or ReliefFactor.com. Find out all about this offer and feel the difference.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:03. We're expecting a beautiful day here in mid-Missouri today. Sunny, our high 73 today. Clear skies tonight with the overnight low getting down to 38. Tomorrow, your Wednesday, sunshine and a high of 75 degrees. 41 right now in Columbia. It's 40 degrees in Jefferson City. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories that we are working on for you at this hour. We're going to begin with that road rage incident that happened yesterday evening in East Columbia. Broad daylight, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, early evening, if you will. Columbia police searching for a motorist who fired multiple shots at teenagers during the road rage incident. It happened near a feed and supply store and a towing company on I-70 Drive Southeast. That's here in Columbia. ABC 17's Layla Mitchell spoke to the teen victim. She'll call him John to protect his identity.
John was on the way home with his friends, all around the age of 16, when he missed his turn. He then went to make a U-turn on Glenstone Drive to get back on track, accidentally cutting off the car behind him. The situation then escalated to something John told me he never expected.
He was still there and then started rolling down the windows, and next moment we knew we were getting shot at.
He said he tried to drive away, but his car was hit so many times it would no longer drive.
Again, that is ABC 17's Layla Mitchell from our news partner at KMIZ. No injuries are reported. Anyone with information is asked to call Columbia Crime Stoppers. That phone number is 573-875 TIPS. If you have any information, they will protect your identity. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services will have a new acting director by this afternoon. Governor Mike Parson has called a press conference at the State House to make the announcement at noon. He'll be joined by the new acting DHSS director. Don't know who that is as of yet. We'll all find out at noon. A GOP state senator from Southwest Missouri's Ash Grove led the successful January filibuster against Donald Karoff's nomination as state health director. Senator Mike Moon said Karoff told him things privately about contact tracing that he contradicting during the public testimony. Karoff, you'll recall, resigned February 1st. Governor Parson blasted what happened to Karoff, describing it as disgraceful. And he was referring to Republican senators in his own party in the Missouri Senate. Boone County's veteran prosecutor will not seek re-election in November. He's strongly considering a run for the Boone County Circuit Judge position in 2024. Dan Knight making the announcement Monday, saying he loves his job because he's had the opportunity to do the right thing daily. Prosecutor Knight says he is also hopeful that Boone County residents will continue to support our law enforcement officers, saying they risk their personal safety and sometimes their lives to keep everyone safe.
We have, in this county, we have wonderful law enforcement officers. And I've just, That's the thing. I think that we need to, as a prosecutor, it's important for me to point that out.
Mr. Knight also reflected on the 21 murder cases he's prosecuted. It started with the Bobby Harrison New Year's Eve 2000 case. That was a shootout behind Big Papa's in downtown Columbia. Big Papa's is not there anymore. The closest thing to it is what's called Tony's Pizza, right in that area. Knight also prosecuted Horace Johnson for the beating death of his 2-year-old son, Cortez, back in 2007. State transportation crews say mid-Missouri motorists will see lane closures and delays over the next several weeks on I-70 near the Roachport Bridge. MoDOT will be starting the blasting work north of I-70 east of the Missouri River. MoDOT will be working with the Highway Patrol. They will conduct 15-minute road closures while the blasting takes place. The aim there is to protect motorists who are driving through the area. 93.9 The Eagle News, yes, it is news, is brought to you by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean for all of your heating needs. Log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 6:07. Turning our attention now to sports. A state lawmaker who is sponsoring sports wagering predicts his bill would generate $15 million annually in revenue for Missouri. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Kansas City Current, and the St. Louis soccer team have testified for St. Peter's Representative Phil Cristofanelli's bill. So have the NHL Players Association. And in Jefferson City last week, St. Louis Cardinals President William DeWitt III himself.
Mr. DeWitt appeared in person last week and gave about an hour's worth of testimony about how this would impact not only his operation with the Cardinals out in St. Louis, but also the St. Louis region generally.
There is some opposition to the bill. Bob Priddy of the National Steamboat Museum in Jefferson City opposes it. So does the Missouri Coalition for Video Lottery. Mizzou men's basketball team, its final road game of the season tonight at Carolina. Mizzou and the Gamecocks will tip off tonight at 6 o'clock. Catch all the action. Mike Kelly and Chris Cervino and the announcer on ESPNU. A name you might be familiar with. He's got ties to Slater, Missouri. He was a star with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. I'll tell you about him coming up at 6:30. Our sports brought to you by the great folks at La Crosse Lumber. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:08. Kevin, thank you. Great to have you with us this morning. It's 41 in Columbia. 6:09, our traffic check is with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Roads right now pretty quiet in mid-Missouri. If you do want to report a traffic issue, you can call or text us 573-874-9390. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
A lot of upward pressure on prices, not only Russia, but continued increase in demand as the nation recovers from the pandemic. We're also switching to summer fuels this time of year, and refineries are doing maintenance. So,
from Gas Buddy, that's Patrick DeHaan talking to our news partners at ABC 17. How much you paying for a gallon of gasoline? Anybody bought fuel in the past few days? I bought some Sunday, $3.44 a gallon.
I got some this morning for $3.39.
All right, cheap gasoline, $3.39 a gallon. This is good news.
I don't remember, but last night I filled up my Chevy Impala. $55.55 was what it came out to be. I just couldn't even. I couldn't believe it. I don't think it's ever been more than 50. For sure, not ever been more than 50.
You have to probably go back. I'm thinking 2007 and 8 when I want to say about the barrel of oil and that's what I generally look at. It was about this, but it's been a while, and the cost is just through the roof. Thank God for me, I don't have to drive very far. So, but for people that have to commute back and forth to Jeff City, back and forth, oh my goodness, yes,
like me,
yes. Half the members of Wake Up Columbia this morning raising their hands. Well, what about me, Jeff City, Ashland?
Yes, that's absolutely, and that is something that affects a wallet, no question about it.
It has a real-world effects. Obviously, this is how what's happening in Ukraine is affecting us. But let's look at, and by the way, Patrick DeHaan also telling our news partners at ABC 17, it may not get better anytime soon.
Could see prices go up 25 to 75 cents between now and Memorial Day weekend, and that's primarily because of just seasonality.
Seasonality, it happens. Gas prices go up, gas prices go down. But again, what are you going to do? I have a couple of options. I'm going to quit driving into work.
I'm not coming to get you.
Probably won't be able to see my family anymore because gas prices were getting high anyway.
Well, and the problem is any other options are also expensive. So you think about, we're planning a trip to Disney World soon coming up. And I'm thinking...
Are you driving?
Oh, we are definitely driving. And it's going to be astronomical. I mean, you think prices at Disney are expensive. Just getting there is going to be way more expensive than we had anticipated. But at the same time, you think, well, then I'll just fly. But because of all of Biden's policies and staffing shortages and everything, airfare is so expensive. So it's still, even though it's going to be so expensive to drive, it's still cheaper than to fly.
So I was in Idaho a month ago, and I was looking to go back next week. Plane tickets have doubled.
Yeah.
Doubled.
I just had to buy some tickets to Washington, D.C., and that's about right, about double. I think out of Columbia, you're looking at like $600 or maybe close to $700.
Does this sound like we're talking old white rich people problems here? My plane tickets to Idaho and D.C. Tell me.
No, we're talking about the before times. We're talking about before Biden was president, you could fly relatively inexpensively. You could drive your car and not have to even think. You drove up to the gas station. Did you look at the price? Not really.
No. Back in the good old days.
Remember 2020? Oh, boy.
That wasn't a good year either. How about 2019?
Well, let's look at some facts. This according to AAA Missouri. A year ago here in Missouri, regular gasoline, $2.45 a gallon. What happened then? That was a low point the past couple of years, $2.45. With the exception of 2020, whenever COVID started taking over. A year ago, $2.45. What happened 1 year ago?
We know.
Joe Biden took office. That's a fact. You can't get around that. A month ago is $3.07 a gallon. Current average right now, $3.33. And you look at maps right now. Boone County, Callaway County, Cole County, some of the most expensive places right now for fuel in Missouri. But then you have places like Howard County and Audrain County, Randolph County, kind of in the middle of the pack when you compare us to the rest of the state. So that's one of the ways that's affecting us. We know right now we have some local folks have been sent to Europe. They are going to 7 or 8 people specifically from Columbia. They took off over the weekend. They got some time at home to spend with families. Gone in Europe this morning. It's about 2:15 in the afternoon, Tuesday afternoon right now in Ukraine. Local folks, here's the guy. This is according to KOMU, Vladislav Sajin. He's a student at MU. He tells KOMU, I wake up trembling every morning because of his family that's there. Man. There's a student reporter, I shouldn't say a student reporter, but a student at William Woods. This according to also KOMU. Her name is Asami Terajima, and I have followed her on Twitter this morning. What a remarkable story this is. According to KOMU, Asami Terajima, student at William Woods University, currently working as a reporter for the Kyiv Independent. Saturday, she tweeted some frustrations because apparently she went to William Woods and said, listen, my country has been attacked by Putin. Can we put my academic studies on hold without penalty while I go and report for the people of my country? And apparently, basically, they said it would be against university protocol. So guess what she did?
She went to Twitter.
She went to Twitter. She took some action, and that was her action. She went to Twitter. Guess who bowed to Twitter?
William Woods.
William Woods.
But her
University.
tweet had 8,000 retweets and 50,000 likes when she said, hey, I'm kind of like in the middle of a war and my university wants me to turn my homework in. Can like someone help me out here? And people said, that sounds like a reasonable request.
You know, sometimes all these things, and I get it. There's rules. We try to abide by the rules. But then there's common sense, too. You know, just common sense. It's against the university policy. Well, you're reporting for people that are being attacked in very hideous ways. Yeah, we can make an exception here.
Man, the world is really in trouble if Branden Rathert is talking about common sense. Man.
But I also love that the university gave their official response on Twitter. They like replied to the tweet, not only because I think they were getting so much pressure on social media, but we've really seen, and I think this is really interesting because this is the first, conflict war that we've had really serious during social media. And you think about how social media is impacting what's going on in Ukraine, not only like what stories we're seeing, but also like with Elon Musk yesterday saying, people are like, hey, we could use some internet. And he just replies, yep, we've got our satellites on the way. And so I think that's really fascinating. They're kind of getting some real-time updates from all sorts of folks.
Rocker D. Schneider, Twisted Sister, you know the song, We're Not Gonna Take It? Classic rock song from the 80s, and people have used it for a lot of, when I'm sick and fed up. So that's kind of like become Ukraine's national anthem almost over the past couple of weeks. And I'll tell you, by all accounts, I continue to see these people in Ukraine. I mean, you have people of all kinds. In Ukraine, check this out. They're giving guns to their residents.
Yeah, they're like driving down the street and just like handing them out. And people are like, yep, I'll take one.
I love that.
I mean, I'm slightly terrified. Just to think about the fact that they're having to do that.
That is terrifying, but I love that. Think about that here. If somebody proposed an idea, hey, we're under attack. We're going to start handing out guns. No, we're not going to hand out guns to residents. Let's send counselors instead.
But what it really, for me, what it made me think about is, I need to get to the range, right? I need to be more prepared. I need to know how to shoot, more advanced weapons. That's because I'm thinking if they handed me some of these guns I've seen pictures of, I don't think I would be very helpful. And so I think, but honestly, it makes me think I need to be better prepared.
We'd see all these people fighting, and there's Stephanie Bell leaning on her M16, just using it as a... No, I get what you're saying. Miles has beaten me to the punch here. I was going to ask, so you're driving to Disney. Have you, and I'm guessing you have, you're a pretty intelligent person. That's why Ellinger and Associates, that's why you are part of Ellinger and Associates in Jefferson City. But I'm wondering, to do cost comparison, fuel, what if I went ahead and flew the whole family to Walt Disney? How would that work out with fuel costs and things like that, hotels? Because I do that stuff all the time. I'm trying to think, okay, is it? And that's why I love to fly out of the Columbia Regional Airport. Good morning. I'm Branden Rathert for the Columbia Regional... No, that's not what that is. But I love the Columbia Regional Airport. Yeah, it's more expensive than flying out of STL, but it's worth it. I don't have to pay for parking. I don't have to pay for the gas there and back, and my time. You know how much I get paid an hour? I don't. I'm on salary. But my time is worth it to me.
Yes, for someone who bills by the hour, that calculates into my equation.
Miles is talking about somebody's family flew $85 round trip from Florida, Orlando to St. Louis. There's also, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, Mid-America Airport is the other side of the river. It's kind of in Belleville, Illinois, and I have flown out of there once, and it is incredibly inexpensive. It was worth the drive. It was worth me driving from Columbia to Mid-America Airport, bypassing Lambert and flying out of Mid-America. Now, after that, it was a different story. I flew on Allegiant Airlines and had one of the most horrible customer service.
Oh, here we go again. Just when I thought we were done with this.
As a matter of fact, I had to enlist the help of the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau. Good morning. I'm Branden Rathert for the Mid-Missouri Better Business. But that's how bad it got. I never had to use, and it was, I think, one of you guys, because I'm whining about this experience I had with Allegiant Airlines. And
whining, yes.
Whining. And it was one of you guys finally said, have you talked to Michelle Gleba at the Mid-Missouri Better? I'm like, oh, yeah.
Huh.
What a great idea.
Oh, wow.
Some other things we are covering for you this morning. Interesting piece in a magazine that, and I can't remember what the magazine, I think it was Vogue magazine, making the case why illegal citizens, people who are in the country illegally, should be allowed to vote. You know, Christopher Arps, besides knowing Missouri politics, he is all about voting rights and laws. He's written a response to that, redstate.com. He's going to be joining us 6:35. Local school union made their, teachers union, I should say, made their endorsements in the Columbia Public School Board race, and as expected, they picked the people that can be their puppets. And last year, I had a friend who ran unsuccessfully for school board, and he told me, and two people now, actually, that ran unsuccessfully for school board, and what this union does here. My goodness, it's dastardly. School board candidate Andrea Lisenby, she's going to be joining us a little bit after 7 o'clock this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle, 7:10. Then 7:35, American Principles Project GOP strategist Terry Schilling is here previewing Joe's State of the Union tonight. By the way, Dee Schneider from Twisted Sister, when asked, hey, because, you know, some of these artists, they get kind of weird about their music being used for things because they want to be paid. It's their creation. That belongs to them. That is intellectual property. And sometimes they get bent out of shape. Dee Schneider says, yeah, I'm cool with it. Daily DC Rundown coming up about 6:26. What do you got for us, Steph?
It's Election Day. Now, don't freak out. Not in Missouri. But what we can be watching for today in someone else's elections.
That's coming up in Daily DC Rundown on 93.
political opinion, we got your back. Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
This is an election of the most stark contrast we've ever seen in the history of Texas.
That's Greg Abbott. Big day in Texas today, and that gets us, the TX gets us into the D.C. Daily D.C. Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
All eyes are on Texas today. It is expected that Governor Greg Abbott will get the party's nomination. They have a more contentious attorney general's race. Ken Paxton has had some allegations about corruption and FBI investigation before, so he's got two challengers in that race, so folks are really watching that one. So some interesting things there. You know, there's been some divides in the Republican Party, in the more conservative wing versus the more moderate wing. And so people are kind of saying, okay, let's watch Texas and see, you know, which side prevails. So there'll be a lot of speculation around that. In addition, you know, Texas has made some changes to their election processes. So apparently they've already received thousands of mail-in ballots, some of which have been rejected because they didn't follow the proper requirements. So I suspect we will hear some complaints. About, you know, the election processes and how that all plays out. So we will be watching Texas today. Also, we'll be watching the State of the Union. We're hearing a little bit about what might be in that speech tonight, but Biden's got a big stage. Not a lot to talk about, but we suspect he will be talking about his Supreme Court nomination and a lot about Ukraine, because there's not a list of really a lot of things that he's done in the last year that he can talk about.
Unless you're the New York Times, they just wrote an article about how 10 consequential days, how Biden is, and they're just like, oh, Joe Biden, look at what everything he's done.
Goodness.
I know, it's crazy. By the way, 7:35, GOP strategist Terry Schilling previews that State of the Union for us at 7:35. Coming up 7:35, Christopher Arps is joining us talking voting rights on 93.9 The Eagle.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. There's a 40-mile convoy of Russian troops outside Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. An airstrike has hit a government building in the country's second-largest city, Kharkiv, and there's been heavy shelling there.
What we really know from casualty figures there, just that they are in the dozens. Now, west of the city of Kharkiv, the town Oturka, there's a military base there. The reporting now is that that was hit with an artillery shell. It took a direct hit, and the figures we have, right around 70 dead in the Ukrainian military.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Lviv, Ukraine. 3 more states, California, Oregon, and Washington, are jointly ending mask mandates for coronavirus protection in schools.
Part of the governor's statement reads, after March 11th, in schools and child care facilities, masks will not be required, but will be strongly recommended. As always, local jurisdictions may have additional requirements beyond the state guidance.
Fox 2 San Francisco's Ali Rasmus. America's listening to Fox News.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:31. Right now we do have clear skies. 41 is our current temperature in Columbia. We're expecting a high today up into the 70s. Get out and enjoy it. Clear skies tonight. The overnight low 38. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Sunshine and a high of 75 degrees. 41 right now in Columbia, 40 in Jefferson City on this Tuesday. It is March 1st, 2022. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories that we are working on for you at this hour. Missouri's governor will be announcing a new acting director for the State Department of Health this afternoon in Jefferson City. Governor Mike Parson has called a noon press conference for today at the State House. He'll make the announcement then. The governor will be joined by the new acting director director at that time. You'll recall the former state health director, Donald Karoff, resigned February 1st after the Senate declined to confirm him to the post. Meantime, while masks are still being required, MU Healthcare relaxing restrictions on hospital and clinic visitors effective Monday. That was yesterday. Columbia-based MU Healthcare says adult inpatients at University Hospital, the Missouri Orthopedic Institute, Missouri Psychiatric Center, and Women's Hospital can have 2 designated visitors per day. The new visiting hours daily, 8 to 6, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., except the Missouri Psychiatric Center. Their visiting hours daily, 4 to 8 p.m. 2 people from Cole County are under arrest after a drug bust.
Cole County deputies and members of the Mustang Drug Task Force raided a home on Valley View Drive Monday morning. They found a quarter pound of methamphetamine, cocaine, marijuana, prescription pills, and heroin. 2 people were arrested at the home, Ashley Weddle and Jeremy Basone. John Marsh, 93.9, The Eagle.
All right, John, thank you. And a bill to legalize sports wagering in Missouri is now before a House committee in Jefferson City. The House Special Committee on Public Policy held a recent hearing on a bill from St. Peter's GOP State Representative Phil Cristofanelli. His bill would legalize, essentially, sports wagering across the state. He tells Wake Up Columbia his bill would bring in millions of dollars in revenue for Missouri education and also for infrastructure needs.
The fiscal note on my bill estimates a positive impact to Missouri revenues of around $15 million.
Representative Cristofanelli says more than 30 states currently allow residents 21 and older to bet on collegiate and professional sports. You can hear the full interview with Chairman Cristofanelli. He is from St. Peter's on our website. It's 939theeagle.com. Our news is brought to you this hour by Mid-America Mortgage. Check them out online, midamericamortgage.us, and apply now for a loan on your dream home. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:34. Turning our attention now to sports. We've got a big game for you coming up tonight for Mizzou. Coach Martin and the team with their final road game of the season, a true road game, if you will, for Mizzou men's. The SEC tournament will be coming up. That's not really a road game per se and not a true road game. Tonight, Mizzou and South Carolina. Mizzou and the Gamecocks tip off our time at 6. Catch all the action with Mike Kelly and Chris Trevino. Pre-game coverage 5:30 on our Zimmer Central Bank Tiger Network affiliate KCMQ, FM 96.7. Javon Pickett has been outstanding, double-digit in scoring, 13 straight SEC games. Now, the game will also be on ESPNU. Joel Klein. Anybody listening know a town called Slater, Missouri? Up in Saline County, there's a young man who graduated there, ended up at Notre Dame, Southwest Conference Newcomer of the Year, played for Eddie Sutton on the 1984 Olympic gold medal team, and he was with Pippen and Jordan, those great teams. They called him Smokin' Joe. Hadn't heard that name for a while, but Joel Klein on the broadcast tonight for Mizzou. You can't miss him. He's 7 foot tall. 93.9 The Eagle News Times, 6:35. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job. Post your job opening today. Hopefully things will stay quiet on the roads. We did have that road rage incident here in Columbia. No arrests have been made in that. We'll have a report from ABC 17's Layla Mitchell coming up at 7:03 this morning. If you have any information on who fired the gunshots at the teen's vehicle hit by numerous bullets yesterday, according to ABC 17. No injuries. If you have information, call authorities. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Chris. Hi, I'm Becky Arps, and I am so excited that you get to experience a bit of the thoughts I hear every single day. Enjoy.
Chris Arps, ChrisArps.com. You see him on Newsmax TV all the time. He knows Missouri politics. He knows what's happening inside that Capitol building in Jeff City better than a lot of folks that I know. Joining us now here on the show, he also writes for RedState.com. And I'm trying to think, Do we start here? Do we start with the State of the Union tonight? Because the New York Times, man, they just had a gusher over Joe Biden. And, oh, my gosh, it's been a wonderful few days for Joe. His handling of Ukraine and Russia. And he nominated a black woman to the Supreme Court. And he's doing this. This is a really good... New York Times is all over this. Meanwhile, I'm paying $3.44 a gallon for gasoline. Stephanie Bell is paying $8 for a gallon of milk. It's bad. What do you expect from the State of the Union tonight?
Well, what I'm expecting from the State of the Union is pretty much what you were talking about with Ukraine. I think that he's going to tout that as a success, kind of a winning kind of slogan like George Bush did after the second Gulf War. I think it's going to be a little premature if he does that, but I think he will be able to tout that he brought together a coalition of NATO and other leaders that have put sanctions on Russia and have held fast together. And we see the frustration that Putin is having in Ukraine. They have not taken any major cities. They have not taken over the country yet. So I think Biden and the administration are going to tout this as a success.
By the way, Gary said we were talking about how, like, the Ukrainian government is going to its citizens and handing out arms, handing out guns to help protect them from tyranny, to help to protect them from Russia. Gary text 874-9390. Now people would just think about the situation in Ukraine where the government is trying to get their people to take up arms, giving their citizens guns. And we have governments trying to take guns away from us here in America.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, they're so desperate over in Ukraine right now that there are reports coming out that they are going to release prisoners that have combat experience or who have been in the military.
All right, quick fact check, too. Stuart wants to know, is milk really $8 a gallon? I don't know. Which is more expensive right now, a gallon of milk or a gallon of gasoline? I paid $3.44 the other day. How much for a gallon of milk?
I don't know.
If somebody knows, please text that 874-9390. Chris Arps, ChristopherArps.com, hanging out with us here on the show. Last year, 2 years ago, I think it was, you and I made a bet. I don't know if you remember. I remember because
you don't ever let me forget anything that you win. So yeah, I remember.
Because sometimes I'm right, and it had to do with the debate between Joe Biden and President Trump at the time. And I said, you know what? Joe, as much as he messes things up, misspeaks, says dumb things, misremembers the facts, when it comes to these big moments, he's usually got it down pat. And I bet that he would make no major gaffes. I won that bet. I still bought your steak dinner, even though I won that bet. Stephanie and I have a bet riding on tonight.
Yeah, I think it's going to go badly for Joe tonight.
Well, I tell you, I listen to a podcast from Politico every morning. It's about 6 minutes, kind of gives you the rundown of the day. And within this podcast, they give the president's daily schedule. And I've mentioned this many times on my show. The president may have 2, maybe 3 things on his schedule for the day, which is very unusual. If I listen to the Political podcast today, and it says that the only thing on the president's schedule is his presidential daily briefing, and that's it, I would have to agree with you, Branden, that he's not going to make a mistake, because that means they're going to make sure he has plenty of rest, and they're going to keep him rested.
Here, Joe, it's 3:15 in the afternoon. Time to eat your pudding and then take another nap. Okay.
Exactly.
Quick phone call, 874-9390. Kevin, welcome into the show. What can we do for you, bud?
Hey, price of milk. I paid $4.49 for a half a gallon of Spare Life milk.
Half a gallon?
Really good, for a half a gallon, and that's really good milk. Generic milk is a little bit more expensive than gasoline. I think it was $3.89 or something like that. And that's for the generic stuff that's got all the hormones and all the other crap in it that I wouldn't want to drink.
Kevin, thank you, man. I appreciate that. So the moral to the story is this morning, here it is, 6:42. Just start pouring gasoline over your cereal instead of milk. It's way cheaper.
Walmart is showing $3.39 for a gallon of milk. Walmart.com.
Does anybody know historically, because this is interesting, Like, typically, is gasoline more expensive than milk? Is milk for a gallon of milk compared to a gallon of gasoline? Like, how does that run usually? But let's move forward. Chris Arps is joining us here on the. I know, that's what I'm thinking too. And I get so surprised when I have some good ideas.
Yeah, we all are.
So I'm saying no major gaffes from Biden tonight. Stephanie is taking that bet. She thinks he's going to make some major gaffes. You've learned your lesson. You're on my side on this one, Chris.
Well, I wouldn't say I learned my lesson, but I'm going to agree with the broken clock, which is right at least twice a day, and agree with you on this.
All right. Hey, one of the things, tell us about your voting project that you actually have been involved in for a very, very long time.
Americans for Citizen Voting, and I've talked about that a few times here on the program, where we work with grassroots organizations all around the country to work with their state legislatures to put on the ballot to amend their state constitutions to say that only United States citizens can vote. And it's been kind of a sleepy issue the last few years until a couple of months ago when the New York City Council passed a law allowing non-citizens to vote in their mayoral elections. And so we've had some successes in Wisconsin, Branden. We've got the House and the Senate has passed our bill, and so that's going to be on the ballot next year. We're doing some great work down in Georgia. It passed in the Senate. And so that's pretty much a passion of mine. I look at it as trying to save the country and save our sovereignty by not having illegals vote. And so I came across an article that was in Teen Vogue, which is the magazine, Vogue magazine we know is a fashion magazine. This one's for teens. And in that Teen Vogue article, they're basically giving all the reasons on why we should allow non-citizens to vote and saying that it's a good thing. And if you'll remember, Teen Vogue caused a controversy a few years ago because they were basically teaching teenagers on the proper ways to have anal sex. So we know where their standards and their morals are right now.
So here's the thing that scares me with this stuff is this is Teen Vogue. Kids are very impressionable. They believe everything they hear. When I was in school, I believed in the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Did you ever figure out how to spell arithmetic, by the way?
M-A-T-H. From now on, that's how I'm spelling it. But we okay, because we're kids. That's what we're told. It was dumb. Kids reading Teen Vogue, they'll read this and they'll go, oh, yeah, absolutely. People who aren't here, that aren't here legally, people that aren't citizens of our country, they should have the right to vote. And they're going to take that as fact. And then they're going to grow up and they're going to campaign for this stuff and advocate for this stuff. Yeah. And that's the thing that scares me the most. Excellent rebuttal piece in Red State on redstate.com, written by one Mr. Christopher Arps. Can will you hang with us so we can get some of your rebuttal and what you wrote in that article?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll do that with Christopher Arps. His rebuttal to what they're saying in Teen Vogue magazine. We'll do that coming up here at 6:50 on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live. Also watch. By the way, we're back on YouTube. Our show got us suspended.
For now.
Our show got us suspended. Branden got us suspended.
Your mouth.
Christopher, we're a team. We succeed as a team. And we've had some great successes recently. But we also fail as a team.
You playing music you're not supposed to be playing? Because that's why we always get knocked off.
No, we got knocked off, and I want to be very careful here because we've got 2 strikes already. We had Billy Long on talking about his ad that got kicked off of YouTube, and then we talked about that. And the funny thing is, I am the opposite. We said the opposite of why YouTube kicked us off. And did you hear Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler yesterday? She got kicked off of Twitter. We'll have that coming up. A lot of things to cover with Christopher Arps coming up at 6:50 here on 93.9 The Eagle.
Opinions on social issues. We throw those around too. Wake Up Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the
See, now she's doing it too. That's Jill. She's got Joe's back. If he's not making enough gaffes, she's got it. And I think Christopher Arps, when I ask Chris, I think sometimes, and maybe I'm going a little overboard, a little conspiracy theory. I think, because that's not the first time that somebody has mistakenly introduced Kamala Harris as the president of the United States. I almost think it's kind of like the subliminal thing. People keep working that in so we get used to the idea, because if Joe dies or gets booted out, she's going to be the president. I think they're wanting us to get used to this idea. To conspiracy theory, what do you think?
I could buy that, and you have to remember, Branden, that the other person that made that mistake of calling Vice President Harris the president was the president. Yep. He called her President Harris.
Yeah, and that's what I think they're trying to ease us into this idea that Kamala Harris is going to be president. Chris Arps joining us, chrisarps.com. See him on Newsmax TV all the time. Responded on Red State. He also writes for Red State. That's how much his opinion and political knowledge is sought after. He writes for redstate.com. Teen Vogue did an op-ed saying non-citizens should be allowed to vote. So that's like, hey, I show up in pick any country, and hey, I live here. I should be able to vote. They're arguing for the same thing. Chris lashes back with a great piece in Red State. How did you respond to this BS piece from Teen Vogue?
Well, I responded like I do always when these people bring up this argument that, first of all, these folks are not citizens. They are in this country illegally. They should not have any rights at all. And then I make the argument of the people that have green cards that are here in this country legally. They want them to vote as well. All I say, my argument for those people is all they have to do is go through the process, become citizens, and they can vote. No one is stopping them from doing that. So to make that case that we're somehow discriminating against green card holders who have decided not to become citizens is laughable. And I also go into this, the argument that they use to allow non-citizens to vote is that they pay taxes, they're here in this country, blah, blah, blah. They should be allowed to vote. And they use a loophole, and they say it's a loophole in the Constitution that it doesn't say who can't vote. It tells you who can vote, which is citizens of the United States. But because it doesn't tell you who can't vote, specifically non-citizens, that's the loophole that they're using to pass this all around the country, Branden. This is not just in, a couple of places in this country. It's all over from Maine to California.
Yep, let everybody vote. Just crazy. I don't understand it. I also don't understand, and I get it, these Google, Twitter, private companies. We are back on YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube. Want to say hello to Darren and one of his co-workers. His co-worker, I guess, is a first-time viewer, first-time listener to Wake Up Columbia. Darren, we appreciate you and your co-worker watching us this morning. This following a week-long suspension. Hartzler, who was just on the show yesterday, great conversation. Check that out in the Wake Up Columbia podcast, 8 o'clock hour yesterday. Here's what Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler got booted off of Twitter for. She said, women's sports are for women. She got booted off. Yeah. I seriously, I don't get it. Somebody asked me the other day, they were asking, why'd you guys get kicked off of YouTube? And I said, well, whenever you get on there, it pops up a message and it says your account suspended for violation of community standards. And she said, well, what's the community standards? Their community standards, violating their community standards is you share an opinion that is different than theirs. That's their community standards. You can't share an opinion different than theirs. Otherwise, they boot you off. And this is a perfect example.
Exactly. And, Branden, this is the height of censorship, and it's terrible, and we're all fighting against it. But I can tell you as a political operative, The people in the Hauswirth campaign practically busted open the champagne and were celebrating yesterday, Twitter doing this. This is going to be a tremendous boon for their campaign, and this should be a in-kind contribution to the Hauswirth campaign from Twitter. This is how much they're going to help her, or they're helping her by doing this.
So here's what I'm wondering right now in this Senate race, this 2022 U.S. Senate race. I'm wondering if people like Schmidt, Long, and other candidates, McCloskey, are thinking, oh my gosh, what can we get on Twitter to get us kicked off? Because any publicity is good publicity. Chris Arps, chrisarps.com. We love you, man. Thanks for your help
Love
today.
you too.
All right.
I think they should just say, like, I stand with Hartzler and retweet her thing and then wait, right? Because I assume if they just tweeted the exact same thing she did.
That's crazy. Just insane. Coming up, so as we were talking about the State of the Union, I want to get a preview with somebody that knows what they're talking about. Executive Director of the American Principles Project, also a GOP strategist. His name is Terry Schilling. He's here at 7:35. But first, the more localer, the more importanter. We have a school board candidate here with a 710. By the way, local teachers union made their endorsements for school board races, and it's exactly the two people that if I were you, I mean, I know you think for yourself, but if I were you, they're endorsing the two people that I would absolutely not vote for.
A passionate plea at Europe's parliament. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, from Ukraine's president.
We are exactly the same as you are. So do prove that you are with us.
Fox's Simon Owen has more live from London.
Dave, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky received a standing ovation from the European Parliament as he addressed the chamber on a video link.
Nobody's going to break us. We're strong. We're Ukrainians.
Zelensky spoke through a translator who was emotional as the president described new deadly missile strikes.
We're fighting just for our land and for our freedom.
The EU has pledged in an unprecedented move to send weapons to Ukraine. Zelensky has asked the bloc to admit Ukraine as a member. Dave?
Simon, a Russian convoy of tanks and forces 40 miles long on its way to the capital, Kyiv, on the second biggest Ukrainian city.
The missile makes a direct on a regional municipal administrative building there. One source says it was an attempt to get rid of local leaders. No word on casualties, but the visuals of the destruction are plain to see. We do know that there were many civilian casualties in the town of Kharkiv as it was subject to relentless and indiscriminate bombing.
That's Fox's Mike Tobin in Lviv. All that's expected to be a big topic for President Biden in the State of the Union address, but not the only one tonight.
You will hear President Biden talk directly about inflation tonight.
Of course, that is a huge issue on the minds of Americans.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the pitch to Americans and to Congress will be to confirm the president's nominees to the Federal Reserve in proposals the administration say will bring down cost.
Fox's Jared Halpern. The polls just opening now in Texas for the nation's first primaries in this congressional election year. And baseball talks went past 2 a.m. Owners and players will do it later today, trying to end the lockout before they push back the start of the season. America's listening to Fox News.
If you're living with aches and pains, especially if they're frequent and nagging and relentless, I want you to take a moment and think back to the last time you really felt good. Can you even remember what it felt like? Now, here's even a more important question. What would you give to go back to feeling like that again? Maybe it would just be nice to take a stroll with your loved one or play with your grandchildren. I've suffered from persistent, crippling pain almost all the time for about 5 years. When I started taking Relief Factor, I took it because my wife made me start taking it. I didn't think it would work for me. Yet here I am today, virtually pain-free, doing the things I love to do, all thanks to my wonderful wife and Relief Factor. I love that it's not a drug, but it was developed by doctors, and about 70% of the people who try it go on to order more. Are you part of that 70% that can get your life back? Your first step to becoming pain-free just might be to order the 3-week quick start for only $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Find out more about this offer. Feel the difference. ReliefFactor.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:03 right now. We do have clear skies, sun coming up right now. Our sunrise officially at 6:42. You can still see it this morning. Beautiful morning, clear skies. We're at 40 right now, 41 degrees in Jefferson City. It's going to be sunny. Today's high around 73. Clear skies tonight with a low near 38. Tomorrow, sunny and a high of 75 degrees. And reminder for everyone that we will have a complete check of your forecast once again with meteorologist Kevin Schneider here in a few moments. So let's begin with some developing news from our news partner, ABC 17. They have a crew on scene right now in central Columbia and are reporting that there are at least 10 police cruisers in the area around Oak Towers. Columbia police officers investigating an incident that happened in that location. No other details right now. Joint Communications did send out alert that Worley and Garth are closed due to this incident. Whatever has happened, again, 10 police cruisers in the area. That's according to ABC 17 News. They have a camera crew on scene, just went live to that. No other details available at this time. Meantime, Columbia police are still searching for a motorist who fired multiple shots at a teen during a road rage incident. It happened Monday afternoon in East Columbia. It happened near a feed and supply store and a towing shop on I-70 Drive Southeast. ABC 17's Layla Mitchell spoke to the teen victim. She'll call him John to protect his identity.
John was on the way home with his friends, all around the age of 16, when he missed his turn. He then went to make a U-turn on Glenstone Drive to get back on track, accidentally cutting off the car behind him. The situation then escalated to something John told me he never expected.
He was still there and then started rolling down the windows, and next moment we knew we were getting shot at.
He said he tried to drive away, but his car was hit so many times it would no longer drive.
That is ABC 17's Layla Mitchell reporting for us today from our news partner. No injuries are reported. If you have any information on what happened or suspect information, you are urged to call Columbia Crime Stoppers. That number is 573-875-TIPS. The teen victim who was shot at also telling Layla Mitchell that he noticed a baby in the suspect's car in the back seat. The vehicle described as tan. Again, if you have any information, 573-875-TIPS. Meantime, here in about 4.5 hours, we'll learn the name of Missouri's new acting state health director in Jefferson City.
Governor Mike Parson has called a noon press conference for today at the State House to make the announcement. The governor will be joined by the new acting director at that time. Former State Department of Health and Senior Services Director Donald Karoff resigned on February 1st after the Senate declined to confirm him to the post. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Boone County's veteran prosecutor will not seek re-election in November. He is strongly considering a run for the Boone County judge position in 2024. Dan Knight made his announcement Monday saying that he has loved his job because of the opportunity to do the right thing daily. Prosecutor Knight says he's also hopeful that Boone County residents will continue to support law enforcement officers. He tells me they risk their personal safety and sometimes their lives to keep everyone safe.
We have, in this county, we have wonderful law enforcement officers. And that's the thing. I think that we need to, as a prosecutor, it's important for me to point that out.
Mr. Knight also reflected on the 21 murder cases he has prosecuted, starting with the Bobby Harrison New Year's Eve 2000 case behind Big Papa's in downtown Columbia. For those of us who were around, that was a big deal. It was literally a shootout. That is now the Tony's Pizza location. Knight also prosecuted Horace Johnson for the beating death of his 2-year-old son. He also talked about other memorable cases, including Joseph Elledge and the case involving Joe Anthony Johnson here in Columbia as well. State transportation crews say Mid-Missouri motorists will see lane closures and delays over the next several weeks on I-70 near the Roachport Bridge. MoDOT crews will be starting blasting work north of I-70 east of the Missouri River, preparing for the $240 million bridge to be built. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you live on this Tuesday morning by the Candy Factory. The Candy Factory is in downtown Columbia. Anniversary, birthday, and any day. Candy Factory, thecandyfactoryonline.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. In sports, Mizzou men's basketball team, its final road game of the year tonight at Carolina, the other Columbia. Mizzou and the Gamecocks tip off tonight, 6 o'clock our time. Mike Kelly, Chris Trevino have all the action for you. Pre-game coverage 5:30 on KCMQ. That's FM 96.7, our Zimmer Central Bank Tiger Radio Network. Mizzou's Javon Pickett has recorded double-digit scoring 13 straight SEC games. Mizzou coming into this game with a record of 10-19. Again, the tip-off tonight early at 6 o'clock. Television coverage on ESPNU this evening. Sports brought to you by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:08. All right, Kevin, thanks. Clear skies right now, 41 degrees. 7:09, 93.9 The Eagle, 93.9theeagle.com. Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. midmohires.com. My friend and colleague at ABC 17, ABC 17's Molly Stallnoga and her camera crew reporting there are at least 10 cruisers right now at the Oak Towers, or at least around the Oak Towers. Worley and Garth are closed right now due to an apparent incident in central Columbia. No other details available at this time. Avoid the area if at all possible. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Meet Sally, a school teacher. By all accounts, Sally is a great teacher. She works hard every day, helping kids, being productive, and generating the income she lives on. Like the rest of us, a portion of Sally's income is automatically deducted to pay her taxes. But in Sally's case, something else is taken out too. Sally works for the government, and to get that job, she is required by law to join a union.
Teachers unions, especially here, we know what they do. We know how bad they are. That's my opinion. They do great for teachers. Parents, kids, forget about it. And this is based on my experience. Matter of fact, last year I had one was a friend at the time. One since then has become a friend of mine. Two people who ran unsuccessfully for Columbia Public School Board. Some of the stories that they told consistently, along with other people that have run in the past, and what these teachers unions do, even the local one, what they do, they pick who it is they want in there so they can control the puppets. They know who they want in there. They incentivize other teachers to go out and campaign on behalf of those people. There's nothing illegal about it, but it's dirty. They run these things. It's horrible. Local teachers union has made their endorsement for the Columbia Public School Board race. That tells you a lot right there. They have endorsed the incumbent Blake Willoughby and Suzette Waters. Those are the two people I would not vote for. I would be voting for Adam Burks and Andrea Lisenby. Joining us now is Columbia Public School Board candidate Andrea Lisenby. First thing I want to ask, I'm guessing you're familiar with how the teachers unions works. It's about the teachers and it's about time off. We don't want to be in the class. What's good for the kids? Oh, screw that. It doesn't matter what's good for the kids. That's not important. What's important is all these people giving us all this money. Your reaction whenever you found out who this teachers union was endorsing?
Well, we weren't surprised that they were going to endorse Blake and Suzette, and that's fine. We actually, Adam and I talked about it, and we weren't expecting it, and we're perfectly happy with it. You know, the NEA has endorsed all 7 of the current school board members, and we don't think any single group in town should have that much control over our school district. I've talked with dozens of teachers over the past couple months. My campaign treasurer is a well-respected Columbia teacher. And, you know, we're hearing firsthand that the Columbia branch of the NEA is becoming more and more political. And when you stop and think about it, we went to virtual education for about a year and a half during the pandemic. That was not good for students. Teachers didn't like it. The community didn't support it. And so now we're left to wonder who was that driving force behind that decision.
Teachers unions, and it's disheartening, the money, and in my opinion, that evil and what they did in the last election cycle. I mean, it's dastardly. It's not about kids. It really isn't. That's my opinion. It's not about kids for them. And I do want to say this in fairness to Blake Willoughby, who was on the show recently. He came on and he knew where we stood, but we had a good conversation. And I got to say this, too. We had a parent who is she has been one of the biggest chihuahuas in the heels of the dastardly stuff that happens within the school district. And she said, I got to tell you, Blake Willoughby has at times, he's been very helpful and very communicative to me. I see that as one of the biggest problems. I'm not running for school board, though, but I talked to a lot of parents. I was at the court hearing a couple of weeks ago when Eric Schmidt again went after the Columbia Public School District. Loves a good lawsuit. They don't mind throwing out your taxpayer dollars to defend stuff when they're saying, hey, you can't do this. They love a good lawsuit. So I'm involved with these parents. I want to ask you, I think one of the biggest issues, communication with parents. On your list of priorities, why you are running to be on the Columbia Public School Board, where would you place that on your list of priorities?
Number 2. Number 1 has to be academics. We have declined so much over the past several years in Columbia. We are currently ranked 9th out of 13 comparison school districts. We are 5 out of 6 in Boone County alone. And we have to bring our academics back up. We owe that to our students. Number 2 is communication. You know, and that goes both directions. Parents, the community, teachers even want to be heard by the school board. And the community wants to hear from the school board and from the administration.
Well, and when you have a school board president shut down a meeting, just, that's it, I've had it, and make a false allegation that somebody was being derogatory, that is a big issue. And what I hear from people within the school, well, parents say we're not communicating. It's because we're not giving them the answers that they want. That's bull. it's not true at all. So I'm glad to see that communications and Blake, again, I'll go back to Blake Willoughby. He's apparently he's very good at that, but he's not somebody that I would vote for right now. We need people, in my opinion, like Adam Burks and Andrea Lisenby. Andrea Lisenby joining us this morning here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle.
I'm always so interested in folks' kind of like origination story. Like, so what made you decide, like, hey, now's the time I want to get involved and run for school board?
Excuse me. I've been on PTAs. I've been in the classrooms for years and years, and I've always wanted to run for school board. My youngest just started kindergarten, and so this was a good time to do it. I started taking a look at our test scores and academics in the classroom and performance across the board and thought, this is urgent. We have to turn things around immediately. Columbia is dropping well lower than where it needs to be. We used to be a model district in the state of Missouri, and now we are not even at state proficiency.
So how do you, I think, and I think you're exactly right on in test scores and academics being number one, but also, you know, a lot of it is public perception. And I think Columbia has just gotten some terrible headlines, and rightfully so, for either closing or masking or whatever. And obviously has been at odds with, you know, statewide elected officials like the Attorney General. How do you start to repair some of those relationships and then also help kind of like the public perception of folks about the Columbia Public School District?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I believe it's a universal thing that communication builds trust, and the community has lost its confidence in CPS. We've cut off communication, and we need to start communicating immediately. And I do think Dr. Yearwood, in some of his recent emails, has tried to make efforts towards that, which I know many of the parents are grateful for. But until we can build up our trust and our confidence in CPS, we're not going to be able to build those foundational relationships that we should have. We should have partners in the state legislature. We should have partners in the community that we can all rely on each other.
And I agree with that. As a matter of fact, Fred Perry, founder of Inside Columbia Magazine, hosts a show here on the weekends. He had Dr. Brian Yearwood on the show, superintendent of the Columbia Public School District, and I always compliment. One of the things I know the Columbia Public School District does really well, and I will compliment them every time I get the chance, is their work with students who are in a homeless situation without fail. Everybody gives big accolades to the school district for working with kids who are in a very challenging situation. So I think we can, from my point of view, I'm not running for school board, but from my point of view, that's one of the things. You know, we find things that we can agree on, and we do that because there is a lot of negative stuff there. I've had it with some of the officials that say, well, you're lying. No, here's proof. I'm not lying. You're lying. So, and when they do communicate, it's and I've had other people in the communications industry who make way more money than I do at this that have looked at communications, and you can tell as you analyze it, they're not trying. You know, you're a parent. I'm dealing with a kid. Give it to me straight and simple, and they fail on a consistent basis to do that. Andrea Lisenby, running for Columbia Public School District. She wants to be on the board. The election is coming up next month. And listen, Boone County Clerk Brianna Lennon, who does really solid work, even quote twittered me on this.
Quote
tweeted me on this. Sorry, I ain't real good with the tweet. I'm new. I'm a 51-year-old dude, and I'm trying, you know, because I'm open-minded. And I'm trying to learn the Twitter thing. But she even quoted, said, the more localer, the more importanter. And I please encourage you, get out and vote. And there are some other things, by the way, especially locally. Mayor, I would vote for Randy Minshew. Columbia Public School Board. These elections are important. And we get 10 and maybe 12% turnout for municipal elections. We got to have more than that. And I hope that you'll tell your friends. And I hope that you'll get on to Andrea's website and Adam Burke's website and Randy Minshew's website and any of these people that you like. This is just who I like. I know you're a smart person. You're going to make your own decisions. That's what I would do. I would vote for Andrea Lisenby. I would vote for Adam Burks. I would vote for Randy Minshew. Please let other people know. Remember, we live in Columbia. It's a very liberal area here. And we need some changes, especially within the school district, my opinion. Anything else you'd like to say before we let you go, Andrea?
Yes, I want Columbia students to be the best educated in the state of Missouri. I want our students prepared for life after high school, for successful and bright futures. Teachers, I will be your voice. Parents, I will be your voice. Taxpayers, I will be your voice. By the way, 86% of our property taxes go to CPS. Make your voice heard by voting for Andrea Lisenby on April 5th. I thank you so much.
All right, and there's a website, too, you can get on to if you'd like to donate. It's Andrea Lisenby, Lisenby.com. You guys have any other events coming up, meet and greets, fundraisers, anything like that you want to mention here really quick?
Yep. Adam and I are both going to be at Shakespeare's tomorrow night at 5:30, Shakespeare South. If you want to come on out and see us, we would love to meet with you, answer your questions.
And that's part of it. We always talk about, Stephanie and I are very big on get involved, get involved. If you don't know any more about the candidates, except for, and all the candidates have been on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle, go and meet Andrea in person. Meet Adam Burks in person tomorrow night, 5:30, Shakespeare South. Andrea, thank you for your time on the show, and I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
874-9390. Coming up, we're going to do What's Hot with Hannah. What's hot today?
Well, as usual, I started controversy on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page, but this one, I think it's pretty tame.
All right, so you're getting us kicked off YouTube, which we're...
No. That was all you, buddy.
All right, so we're kicked off YouTube, and on Facebook, Hannah's starting controversy. What is she roiling up this morning? What's Hot with Hannah coming up 7:25.
The talk show for awesome folks like you. Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
The vehicle that I drive is a pickup truck, a Ford 150. Costs about $100 to fill it. This is a hybrid, so it's not as bad, and that's why I'm driving it today to St. Louis, just to save a little bit of money on the gas.
Somebody chatting with our buds at ABC 17. Current average here in mid-Missouri, about $3.33 a gallon. I paid $3.44 yesterday, and over the past year. So 1 year ago, average price about $2.45. Then what happened 1 year ago, huh?
What happened?
What happened?
We know.
What? And then they went up, and they've continued to go up. And now with Russia and Ukraine, and gas prices not expected to come down anytime soon. And I don't say that to drop bad news on you, but just so you know, State of the Union coming up tonight. Executive Director of the American Principles Project. He's also a GOP strategist. Terry Schilling is going to be joining us 7:35. Right now it's 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:28.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
I've started controversy again, but this is pretty tame in comparison to what we've done. It in no way, shape, or form compares to what you did on the YouTube channel. But today's National Peanut Butter Lovers Day. And I've reignited one of the oldest controversies of all time. Do you like crunchy or creamy peanut butter?
I stand firm on this, by the way.
Okay. In which camp?
Crunchy.
Yes.
Amen.
I am with you. Stephanie probably doesn't even like peanut butter.
Stephanie doesn't even like puppy dogs.
I love peanut butter, but as you know, I don't do bread, so I just do like spoonfuls of peanut butter straight out of the jar, which is usually creamy.
What?
Oh, yeah. But I also like cookie butter. I brought you guys some of
Oh, that was good.
It's deadly. Trader Joe's cookie. And I don't even know what it is or what it's for. Did anybody ever figure that out?
It's for eating out of the jar with a spoon.
It is for joy, is what it's for. But no, I like crunchy peanut butter unless I'm like baking with it or something. Then you don't want weird chunks in your food.
What does your Branden prefer, Hannah? Because like
whatever I buy at the grocery store.
I feel like that could be a relationship struggle. Like
it
if one
could be.
person is a crunchy person and one person's creamy.
By the way, coming up, and this has nothing to do with Hannah. I made a promise to Hannah several months ago. I'd quit teasing about weddings and stuff.
Uh-oh.
But maybe 750. Wedding photographers over the years have collected things like, they can say like, this is how we think this, by the wedding photographs, pictures from the wedding, this is how we think this is going to be a success. Right? Just kind of fun.
Yikes.
We'll do that at 7:50 here on 93.9 The Eagle. It's Wake Up Columbia. Hannah, Stephanie, Brian Hauswirth. I'm Branden.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. Prove you're with us is what Ukraine's president is asking the European Union in an address to Europe's parliament, with Russia's military assault now in its sixth day and a Russian convoy just north of Ukraine's capital, Kyiv.
Satellite photographs suggest the convoy could be 40 miles long. This is Ukraine's second largest city. Kharkiv comes under a new bombardment today. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is urging Western allies to dramatically escalate their support by imposing a no-fly zone, something the U.S. has ruled out.
Fox's Simon Owen. A murder-suicide at a church in Sacramento, California. The father, his 3 children, and a chaperone are dead.
The shooter, who is deceased, has a restraining order against him and has to have supervised visits with his children. We believe that at this church that what was happening, a supervised visit.
Sacramento County Sheriff Scott Jones. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:31 right now. We have bright sunshine, gorgeous morning here in mid-Missouri. Our temperature continues to warm. We're expecting a high of around 73. Tonight, clear skies, low near 38. Tomorrow on your Wednesday, sunshine and a high of 75 degrees. 41 sunny right now in Columbia. It's 39 degrees in Jefferson City. We'll begin this hour, folks, with breaking news. I've spoken to Boone County Joint Communications. They're asking everyone to avoid the area right now around Garth and Worley in central Columbia. Joint Communications telling the Eagle that the entire block around the Oak Towers right now is closed. They will only tell me it is a police incident. No other details are available. Our partner ABC 17 News has a camera crew on scene. Cam IZ is reporting there are at least 10 police cruisers around the Oak Towers. No other details are available. Avoid the area if at all possible. We have a story up on our website. I've just put it up, 939theeagle.com. Not a lot of information. Authorities still on scene. As soon as we get more, we will pass it along to you. Meantime, while masks will still be required, MU Healthcare is relaxing restrictions on hospital and clinic visitors. Columbia-based MU Healthcare says adult inpatients at University Hospital, Missouri Orthopedic Institute, the Psychiatric Center, and Women's Hospital can have 2 designated visitors per day. Visiting hours daily 8 to 6, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., except Missouri Psychiatric Center, that is open from 4 to 8 p.m. daily. A bill to legalize sports wagering in Missouri is now before a House committee in Jefferson City. The House Special Committee on Public Policy held a recent hearing on the bill from St. Peter's Representative Phil Cristofanelli. He tells 93.9 The Eagles Wake Up Columbia his bill would bring in millions of dollars in revenue for Missouri education and infrastructure needs.
The fiscal note on my bill estimates a positive impact to Missouri revenues of around $15 million.
Representative Cristofanelli says that more than 30 states currently allow residents 21 and older to bet on collegiate and professional sports. 2 other quick notes from the Capitol today. Missouri Governor Mike Parson, noon press conference in Jefferson City. He'll announce the new state health director at that time. Also at noon, State Senator Mike Moon has filed a bill. He'll testify. It's called Saving Women's Sports, and it deals with high school and other athletics, very similar to what Congresswoman Hartzler has talked about on Twitter, and he is going to present that bill today at noon at the Capitol. I'll talk more about that coming your way at 8:03 this morning. News is brought to you this hour by Dr. Kent Willett Dental Associates, practicing conscious sedation dentistry. To relax your fears, make an appointment now, 573-445-5300. It's WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:34. In sports, the Mizzou men's basketball team has its final road game of the season tonight at Carolina. Mizzou and the Gamecocks tip off at 6 o'clock. You can hear all the action with Mike Kelly and Chris Trevino. Pregame coverage 5:30 on the Zimmer Central Bank Tiger Radio Network. It's KCMQ, the affiliate here at Zimmer, FM 96.7. Mizzou's Javon Pickett has recorded double-digit scoring 13 straight SEC games. It'll be at 6 o'clock. ESPNU is going to be the television coverage, and Joel Klein, I talked about him an hour ago. Joel Klein will be doing the broadcast tonight. For those of you who grew up around Missouri, he played at Slater, Missouri. It's in Saline County, farming community. Same town that produced Steve McQueen, but he ended up at Notre Dame for a year and then at Arkansas for Eddie Sutton. Ended up with the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Fantastic career, 7 foot tall. He'll be on the broadcast tonight. Normally he's down in the Deep South. Tonight he's in Carolina on the television. Does a great job. Looking forward to seeing him on the broadcast. Sports brought to you this hour by Betts Jewelers, downtown Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:35. And our traffic check is brought to you this hour by MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job. Post your job opening today at 7:35. Again, I just spoke to Joint Communications in Boone County. They're asking everyone to avoid the area Garth in Worley. That's in central Columbia, not terribly far from the business loop. To give you some idea where that is, a little bit of big south of that. Joint Communications telling me the entire block around Oak Towers closed. A police incident. KMIZ's camera crew reporting there are at least 10 police cruisers around Oak Towers. Avoid the area. No other details at this time. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. We have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Rays in Scranton, PA. Lifeguard by the
to us, said, hey, would you play this on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle? And I said, no, that would be mean. We can't do that. That guy, given the State of the Union tonight, what can we expect? I'm wondering if it's New York Times. Glowing piece, just gushing all over Joe Biden. Says the last 10 days he's redefining the arc of his presidency. I want to bring in somebody who knows absolutely what he is talking about. Terry Schilling, Executive Director, American Principles Project, also a GOP strategist. I'll start here, Terry. So the New York Times writes a very glowing, Joe Biden, just what he's done over the past few days. It's like, come on, you guys, really? Do you really believe this? How do you react? And maybe not just to, okay, we know it's all BS, but reaction to these progressive news outlets that just throw praise on crap.
Well, we live in the age of mainstream media gaslighting, right? I mean, you're gonna tell us everything they can that up is down and left is right, and it's just going to be a joke tonight. They're going to praise him regardless of what he says. He's going to talk a lot about Ukraine. He's going to blame the Ukraine crisis for our inflation here, and he's going to take a huge victory lap on COVID. He's going to try and take credit for it. He's going to take credit for all the jobs that they destroyed first and then recreated. It's going to be a whole gaslighting tour tonight.
So, by the way, our guest, Terry Schilling, GOP strategist, executive director, American Principles Project, hanging out with us here on 93.9 The Eagle and Weekend. And I get it, State of the Union. And I always, listen, I live in America. You live in America. I want us to do well. I really hate to see what's happening. So it's not just, a conservative talking point to go after this guy. But seriously, things are bad. I mean, gas is skyrocketing, and it's had been prior to what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. So we get it. It's a rah-rah speech. But I'm wondering, would there be anything in there that would be surprising? Because I'm trying to think, what would he talk about prior to Russia and Ukraine happening? How would he give his State of the Union if this was not going on right now?
Well, it's hard because it's hard to get into his mind. But if I were him and I was giving a State of the Union without the crisis in Ukraine, I would be using it as an opportunity to push for the Build Back Better plan or some type of election reforms. I would be using this opportunity to make the case to the American people for why we need to invest trillions more dollars into our infrastructure and across the country. That's what I would use it for. I wouldn't talk about my accomplishments because there's hardly any. But he would be talking about the vaccine, right? 75% of Americans getting vaccinated, and this whole COVID pandemic coming to an end. That's the thing is the CDC's revised their guidelines. They're revising their standards, and now America is no longer in a COVID crisis, according to their what they're saying. And so he'd take a victory lap and he'd say, now that we're out of this, it's time to rebuild. That's how I would handle it.
Well, and I keep saying, that it was follow the science. Well, is what they're doing is they are following the political science. Guess what? Worst ratings in recent memory for any president we have ever seen. And this is people all across America. We have midterms coming up. We have Texas primaries today. They are following the political science very weak. Our guest, Terry Schilling, Executive Director, American Principles Project.
What do you make of the response by Governor Reynolds in Iowa? You know, we've seen responses by senators and representatives. Do you think there'll be, a strong contrast between how states handled, for example, COVID versus how the federal government handled it?
I think that's exactly right. And I expect Governor Kim Reynolds, who's actually been very strong on COVID. My family lives in LeClaire, Iowa. And, they have had the mask off for quite a while. They were back to normal for quite some time. And so I think that there's going to be a big contrast between the Republican leadership in the red states and how they handled COVID and actually were the champions that got us out of this mess. And saw reality first and got the economy back up and running. So I think there will be a stark contrast between the Republican vision and the Democratic vision for America.
Now, we're also going to see a response from the squad. What do you make of that?
Gosh.
This is one of the most fascinating things. The Democratic Party is so tightly controlled from their messaging to their public policies and their presentations. So for the Democrats to have this type of response from their own is fascinating. There is obviously now a divide in the Democratic Party between, I would say, the more corporate Democrats, the ones that are more moderate and mainstream, even though those people are radical as well, and the woke. The Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and AOC, they want to spend more money, and they're frustrated that Joe Biden isn't bucking the party and getting them more in line. So they're going to be, putting their targets out against Joe Biden for not pushing hard enough, but also Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. They're going to blame them for not getting Build Back Better passed, as well as their election reforms that they want to get.
I have a developing situation locally I want to get to real quick before I continue our conversation with Terry Schilling regarding tonight's State of the Union. This from Columbia Public School District. This morning there's a police incident that has caused the area around Ridgeway to be closed. The incident does not involve the school. However, as precaution, student arrivals are being redirected over to Jefferson Middle School. So buses are dropping students off at Jefferson. Parents dropping children are being redirected to Jefferson Middle School. Once police determine it's safe, students are going to be bused to Ridgeway from Jefferson Middle School. Ridgeway staff are present at Jefferson Middle School to assist with morning drop-off. Columbia Public School District says they're thankful for the patience and flexibility, and Ridgeway and Jefferson families appreciative for the flexibility that parents are showing this morning as they work to keep our schools and students safe. One of the things you said, you talked about moderate Democrats. When you talk to moderate Democrats, do you mean people like Mitt Romney?
Yeah, no, I would consider Mitt Romney. So this is the interesting thing: is there is this weird uniparty that has really had the most power in this country, and it's the Mitt Romneys, it's the Joe Bidens, it's the Barack Obamas, it's the Nancy Pelosi's, the Mitch McConnells. They all agree, and it's like the Democrats these moderate Democrats are the ones pushing the country forward, not forward, but in a more progressive direction, and then the Republicans in that uniparty are just doing it at a slower pace. Right, so it's almost like we're gonna the Titanic's gonna sink, but we're gonna sink it just a little bit slower than just allowing it to go to the bottom right away. It's a total disaster, and it's not working.
Yeah, and it is stunningly remarkable that Democrats have a response to the Democrat president tonight of the State of the Union. So I hope if you're listening right now, and I hope you'll share this, say happy hour after work or with your coworkers, say, do you know how bad it is right now? The president of the United States, somebody from his own party, is giving a rebuttal, a response. That's how bad it is right now. Terry, I know a lot of people seek your time. I'm honored that you would find time. You'd carve time out of your schedule to join us here on 93.9 The Eagle. Anything else you'd like to add before we let you go?
Yeah, the thing is regarding the woke response to the State of the Union, we are in an interesting time in which these woke Democrats have so much control over their party, and it's still not good enough. right? You see this case in San Francisco 2 weeks ago where they unelected all their 3 board members of the school board. They were renaming Abraham Lincoln High School because Abraham Lincoln was too racist for them. These woke activists, nothing will ever satisfy them. And that is actually a problem with the Democratic Party because they're primarily controlled by these woke activists. And so I just urge everyone, strengthen the Republican Party. We need to get back to business and disrupt things. If not, it's all going to go woke, and everything woke goes to, as President Trump would say.
And by the way, hey, feel free to share this story today. So Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler, she reps our 4th Congressional District in Missouri. She's running for the seat Roy Blunt currently holds. Twitter, you can share this when you chat with other folks today, Terry. Congresswoman Hartzler suspended from Twitter because she said on Twitter, women's sports are for women. That's all she said.
Branden, I want to tell you, this is actually personal to me because this is what American Principles Project does. We actually had ads very similar to this on women's sports that were shut down by Facebook in 2020. And these big tech goons, they're never going to stop unless we regulate them. We've got to rein in big tech and hold them to a First Amendment standard. They're keeping us from organizing politically. And that's so anti-American. America is the one country in the world that was founded on a simple concept: political equality. And these guys don't believe in it. They reject it. They're anti-American. But Vicky Hartzler, that was a really powerful ad. And it's powerful because they shut it down. If this was an ad that was offensive or crazy, they'd be letting it play everywhere. But because it's effective and it actually persuades voters, that's why they're shutting it down. So props to Vicky Hartzler. She's a real champion for doing that.
Yeah, she wouldn't take the tweet down. And here's another funny story. I know I keep saying I'll let you go. We were suspended on YouTube because we were talking about 2020, and we were saying, in effect, that we disagree with a lot of what people are saying, but because we were saying, they kicked us off for a week, man. All right, I'm done.
No, they want to shut down debate. They don't like it when we're talking and discussing because we get to conclusions and we find the truth. Debating and arguing and having conversations, that's how we find the truth, and that's what's so scary to them, and that's what's dangerous to this uniparty regime that they have.
Terry Schilling, you want to check if you like what he's got, what he has to say, you need to seek out American Principles Project. For real. Terry, thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
All right, we'll see you.
Pink-haired wokers who carry around Ziploc bags of kale.
I love Senator Kennedy.
If you have a chance to see him in person, you have to go. He was great at CPAC.
I love that. So coming up 7:53, and this has nothing to do with Hannah. I made a promise to my dear sweet Hannah a couple of months ago because I would tease about the wedding stuff, and we had a personal conversation.
Well, the issue was I would always get text messages from people listening saying, oh my gosh, did I miss something?
And so I made a promise to Hannah, and I said, okay, I won't do that on air. And it was a very serious, personal conversation. So
because I got cranky about it.
No, you stood up for yourself, and you said, hey, here's something that bothers me. And you did the right thing. You said it, and we talked it out. I didn't know that it was really bothering me. I'm just thinking it's fun because I'm always thinking about myself all the time. I don't think about other people. I'm selfish. I'm thinking about myself. And anyhow, so a group of wedding photographers over the years say, based on wedding day photos, they've been able to tell how marriages are going to work out.
Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. Mid-Missouri is listening.
I got to do this really quick, and I hate to do it here because we're running out of time, but I can, we can do it coming up a little bit after 8 o'clock, too.
Look at what you just stepped in.
You are about to enter the no zone.
This is the O'Reilly Factor with Branden Rathert.
Yes, I hit Branden with a stick.
It's the O'Reilly Factor. Bill O'Reilly. When he was on the TV, he used to have the O'Reilly Factor. Here we have the O'Reilly Factor. We take what Politico's talking heads, we take what they say, and we run it through. We do a little fact check on it. And instant fact check on something that was said just minutes ago here on the show. My friend to the left of me, if you're watching on YouTube, actually she would be to your right if you're watching on YouTube or on Twitter, made an incorrect statement.
Oops. You get really excited when somebody else gets fact-checked and it's not you. You get extra excited.
I'm trying to think last time I got fact-checked on anything.
It was recently, I'm sure.
Do you have an example?
What did I say? No.
Oh, okay.
What did I say?
Can I guess?
Yep.
Was it about how many years she's been married?
Bingo!
Oh, yeah.
Ruh-roh.
Mr. Bell, I got your back, brother. Stephanie Bias. So we're talking because we have wedding photographers think that they can tell if a couple that's getting married will end up divorced based on wedding and is what they've done is a lot of photos over the years, seeing how marriages have worked out. It's really interesting. So I've been married twice for a total of like 3.5 years. And I asked Stephanie Bell, how long you been married? And Stephanie Bell said
13.
She's been married
14.
There's your fact check.
It's like an age thing, though. I just knock it down a little bit because if you say you've been married for 14 years, it starts to reveal your age. So.
Steph, if you don't want your husband, Branden will take him because he's got a man crush.
We'll get into this coming up at 8:10 here on 93.9 The Eagle.
I didn't.
They're fighting for survival. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Life will win over death.
That's Ukraine's president remotely addressing Europe's parliament.
And light will win over darkness. Glory be to Ukraine.
And then he got a standing ovation As President Volodymyr Zelensky pleaded with them to allow Ukraine to join the European Union. This is a Russian convoy of tanks and forces 40 miles long, heads toward the capital Kyiv. And Russian forces keep bombing the city of Kharkiv. And
farther south, the town of Kherson, there is a pitched battle taking place there, really focusing on a bridge. This is of key importance. You know the Russians have fortifications on the Crimean Peninsula, which they've held since 2014. This bridge would connect them with the mainland, key for resupplying your troops.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Lviv. President Biden will focus on Ukraine in tonight's State of the Union address. And the United Front, our allies are showing punishing Russia. Republicans have been critical the president didn't act fast enough. Former President Trump has said Russia would not have invaded on his watch, and it's appalling. Though Democrats are critical, he called Russian leader Vladimir Putin smart and his plan genius. And the former president keeps fighting investigations into him. Fox's Eben Brown has a live update.
Yeah, Dave, Donald Trump is appealing a New York State judge's ruling that he testify in the state's civil investigation into business practices at the Trump Organization. New York Attorney General Letitia James claims the company committed fraud. Trump insists the investigation is politically motivated and will reveal no wrongdoing. Also being made to testify are the former president's son, Donald Jr., and his daughter, Ivanka. Dave?
Yeah, but it's party time in New Orleans. People are parading around on Mardi Gras or Fat Tuesday, one last day of carnival celebration before the Christian season of Lent begins with Ash Wednesday. America's listening to Fox News.
Life is about being active, whether it's about going on your daily tasks or exercising. You know you're well when you're regularly active. But what happens when being active actually hurts by the end of the day? This is the position I found myself in a number of years ago. Everything I wanted to do in my daily life, all of the activity it called for, was held captive to almost constant nagging pain. When I heard about Relief Factor, I was skeptical, but my wife said, give it a chance. Not long after I took it, I could feel the pain begin to melt away, and I've been taking it ever since. And I can tell you that Relief Factor has helped me get my life back. I love that it's not a drug, but it was developed by doctors, and about 70% of the people who try it go on to order more. Your first step to becoming pain-free just might be ordering a 3-week quick start for only $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF, or ReliefFactor.com. Find out all about this offer and feel the difference.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:03 right now. We do have bright sunshine here in Columbia. It continues to warm up. 43 is our current temperature, 42 in Jefferson City. Our high today will be about 73 degrees. Clear skies tonight with a low near 38. Tomorrow, sunny and a high of 75 degrees. Good morning, everyone, and here are some of the stories that we are working on for you right now. At this hour, we begin with breaking news. At this hour, is Boone County Joint Communications is asking everyone to avoid the area around Garth in Worley in Central Columbia. Joint Communications telling me that the entire block around Oak Towers is closed due to this police incident. They're not able to release any other information. I did receive word from Jeff Pitts, who's with CPD, that he is going to call me shortly. And as soon as I hear from Jeff, I'll update you right now. Now, there also is an impact here on CPS, Columbia Public Schools, because of this incident, Ridgeway Elementary School, that area around it is closed. And Michelle Baumstark, who I also just spoke to a few moments ago, emphasizes the incident does not involve the school. That is correct, but she says as a precaution, student arrivals are being redirected to Jefferson Middle School. So the buses are dropping students off at Jefferson. Parents dropping children are being redirected to Jefferson Middle School. And once it's safe, it has not been determined to be safe yet. Students will be bused to Ridgeway from Jefferson Middle School. Baumstark telling me that the CPS safety and security officers are there. Again, the children are safe, and it does not directly involve the school, but that area, because of it, is closed. That is why they are doing it. Again, CPD will hopefully hear something here shortly about whatever this is going on around the Oak Towers. As soon as I hear from Jeff Pitts, I'll let you know. KMIZ has a camera crew on scene. Megan Drakis, their morning reporter in the field, is on scene, and they're reporting there are at least 10 CPD officers, cruisers around the Oak Towers. But again, no other details at this time. Avoid the area if at all possible. Meantime, Columbia police say no one was injured in a road rage incident happened yesterday afternoon on I-70 Drive Southeast in East Columbia. It happened near Carl's Towing and also a feed store that is Bourne Feed and Supply right in that area, the Glenstone intersection. No injuries. Happened in broad daylight. One of the victims tells our news partner, ABC 17, it started when another driver got mad at him. The teen accidentally, he says, cut the other motorist off, and the other motorist rolled down his window, allegedly firing multiple shots at the teen's car. That car hit by several bullets, but no one was hurt. The car not operable, so the teen got out of the car, he and his friends, and ran away. The investigation is continuing into that incident as well at this hour. We'll be learning the name of Missouri's new acting state health director here in about 4 hours.
Governor Mike Parson has called a noon press conference for today at the State House to make the announcement. The governor will be joined by the new acting director at that time. Former State Department of Health and Senior Services Director Donald Karoff resigned on February 1st after the Senate declined to confirm him to the post. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Boone County's veteran prosecutor will not seek re-election in November. He's strongly considering a run for Boone County Circuit Judge in 2024. His name is Dan Knight. He made his announcement yesterday afternoon, and he says he loves his job because he's had the opportunity to do the right thing daily. Prosecutor Knight also says he's hopeful that Boone County residents will continue to support our law enforcement officers. He tells 93.9 The Eagle they risk their personal safety and sometimes put their lives they risk their lives, he says, to keep everyone safe.
We have, in this county, we have wonderful law enforcement officers. And I'm just, that's the thing. I think that we need to, as a prosecutor, it's important for me to point that out.
Knight also reflected yesterday. He sat down with Mark Slavitt and I from TV 13. He talked about the 21 murder cases he's prosecuted, starting with the Bobby Harrison 2000 case, New Year's Eve 2000, behind Big Papa's. That was a shootout in downtown Columbia. Jalen McClellan was the victim in that case. Knight also prosecuted Horace Johnson for the beating death of his 2-year-old son, Cortez. That one happened in 2007. He also talked about the Joseph Elledge case and several other cases that he has prosecuted over the years as well. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by the Callaway Bank. They have a dedicated customer care team to get you the help you need and deserve. Callaway Bank, they're with you for the moments that matter. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:07. In sports, a pretty big crowd is expected at the Missouri Capitol today. There'll be testimony at noon on a bill from State Senator Mike Moon. It's called the Save Women's Sports Act. Now, under his act, he is from Ash Grove. Middle school, high school, and post-secondary sports teams that compete against public middle schools, high schools, or institutions as post-secondary education shall be expressly designated as male, female, or co-ed using terms provided under the act. He will outline that bill coming up today. Senator Mike Moon, Ash Grove, at noon at the Missouri Capitol. The committee not expected to vote today. Mizzou men's basketball team, final road game of the season tonight. Carolina on the road in Columbia. Mizzou and the Gamecocks tip off tonight, 6 o'clock. Mike Kelly, Chris Trevino on the call pregame, 5:30. KCMQ, FM 96.7. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:08. All right, Kevin, thank you. Right now we have bright sunshine, 43. Traffic check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Again, the area around Garth and Worley, that entire block right now is closed, according to Joint Communications. That is near the Oak Towers. Also, the area around Ridgeway Elementary School is closed. Does not directly involve the school. Doesn't involve the school at all. We should emphasize that. However, it's impacting the school because students are not able to get there. So they're being redirected right now to Jefferson Middle School. As soon as I hear back from Jeff Pitts about what's happening out there, I will let you know as soon as I hear back from him. Again, we'll have another update, 8:30, breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
This moment we knew we were getting shot at. The action was to duck, and then after that I had to hurry up and take off. I was driving to drop off one of my friends, and we missed our turn, and I didn't realize there was a car that was right behind me. He was still there and then started rolling down the windows, and next moment we knew we were getting shot at.
That's this kid who got shot at, talking to our friends at ABC 17 yesterday. Apparently he made a U-turn and didn't know there was somebody behind him, and they took exception. Usually is what I do in that situation is I honk my horn. I might take after my dad. I might roll down the window and give him the bird and say, "You butthole!"
That's personal. When you roll the window down to do it, that is personal.
And whenever we get upset with people in traffic, I've always thought that's a really good indication of where I am mentally and emotionally that day. If I'm getting upset at somebody in traffic to the point I'm honking my horn or flipping them off, I'm probably not in a good spot.
So, I can't believe I'm telling this story. One of the few times I actually let myself road rage, it was in Centralia, which should have been like my first red flag because everybody knows everybody in Centralia. So I was like, throwing my hands, cussing a little bit, like, what the heck? And it was one of my teachers from school. So then the next day in class, he drew a diagram for everybody, and we had a conversation about who had the right of way in this situation.
Wow.
This is why I never want a vanity plate. Not because I would rage at people, but I don't think I'm a particularly good driver, and people would be like, the lady with that plate, she's a terrible driver, and so I would never get one.
That's funny. I'm the exact same way.
But yours road rage.
No, it's I'm afraid that people would. Yeah, that guy with the plates that say.
You have a very distinct car, though.
And you know what's weird? So there's a place I go every day, and it happens to be situated by a bar, which I used to love going to, the Dive Bar, which is also by the adult toy store over there. So this is true. It's true. So,
thank you. Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
They're on the business loop. And when I go to this place every day, sometimes there's not enough parking. So I have to park at the Dive Bar or the adult toy store.
Which one's worse?
I park at the toy store. Because people that know me know my vehicle and are like, man, every day right about noon, there's Rathert at the sex shop, man. It's crazy.
Just browsing new inventory.
Yeah, just seeing what's up. And people are asking, and I don't know if it's just law enforcement or local news outlets, here's the best description, because cops are on this. I mean, these young kids got shot because shows you the mindset a lot of these people in some of these neighborhoods. Man, somebody's trying to do a U-turn in front of me. I'll show you. Shot up to the car to the point he couldn't even drive it anymore. Best description that we have right now.
Yeah, based on Layla Mitchell's reporting and based on what she calls him, John, that's not his real name, the gentleman you just heard from, he described it as a tan vehicle. We don't know if it's a car, truck. He didn't get a great look at it, but he did say there was a small child, if not a baby, in the back seat. This area, for people that don't know, Branden, I drive that area fairly regularly, and I will tell you, it is secluded. It is secluded in there. Once you get past Mosier's, and, you've got Mosier's, you've got Drury Inn, and then you go further, it'd be to the east. Once you get up to the top of the hill, there is the feed store that is off to your left, Bourne Feed, and then Carl's Towing's to the right, and there's a couple businesses that area, people drive crazy. I've seen people drive on the wrong side of the road. I almost got hit the other night, and they do drive very, very fast. But unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of businesses for a while. Hopefully, there'll be some cameras somewhere where they can identify the suspect. But that is the only description that we have right now. And the car, you hit it on the head. The car was inoperable because it was hit with so many bullets.
So we know the kid, apparently he saw a baby in the car, but we don't know if it was males, females.
Have no idea.
Skin color. We don't know any of that. Earlier this week, I think this was from over the weekend, Columbia Police Department spokesman Jeff Pitts. This was somebody, I think it was, I don't know if it was involved in a chase, and forgive me because I'm not getting the details correct, but somebody was in a chase or evading police, and they ended up hitting somebody else, an older couple.
That was Friday. That was a guy that was he was the suspect in the second suspect in the Talon Drive shooting. And they were looking for this guy, 35 years old. The guy they were looking for who was involved in the chase, he has been in and out of prison. He got a 25-year prison sentence for robbery, and yet he was out on parole. But yes, he is accused of hitting this elderly couple. It was an elderly couple. And I'm told the elderly couple did not suffer serious injuries, but the guy got out of the car and tried to discharge a weapon.
Check this out.
The suspect, after the collision, exited the vehicle, his vehicle. He did sustain a gunshot wound from himself.
He shot himself in the leg, dumbass.
Yeah, and he also then tried to run with the bullet wound, and he didn't get very far. But he had to have surgery, and as far as I know, actually, Mark Slavitt and I were talking yesterday. Mark and I were waiting for Dan Knight. I'm not sure if he is still in jail, if he's in the hospital, but he's either looking at going to the Boone County Jail or he is on parole. So if P&P, probation parole, finds out it's him, his parole will likely be revoked. He'd probably have to go back to finish his prison sentence on top of the new charges.
He won't have a good leg to stand on.
My dear sweet Hannah, making jokes about convicted felons and people who injure themselves. Points. I'm nominating you for one of our winners of the week coming up on a Feel Good Friday at 8:35 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Glad you could be here.
Thank you, sir.
Brian Hauswirth. Quick update. What's happening with these schools? Because a couple of scenes right now as it relates to school. What I did, I just straight up read the press release from Michelle Baumstark, Columbia Public Schools, because it's pretty thorough and simple and communicated very well.
It really is, and you can't say it much better than what Michelle did, and I heard you read it, and that is perfect in this case because I just talked to her safety and security officers from CPS, and I think what you emphasized, Brandon, is spot on. That's kind of a sidebar story because the incident doesn't involve the school, but it's impacting a lot of kids. So those kids are okay. The CPS security and safety officers are there. The scene itself is either in or around or near Oak Towers. I'm unclear, again, waiting to hear back from Jeff Pitts. And what we have is the entire Joint Communications will only tell me the entire block around it is closed, Garth and Worley, due to this police incident. Megan Drakus reporting there are at least 10 police cruisers around Oak Towers, but until they, and again, we don't have, not going to speculate, until this is resolved or whatever they need to do, until it's resolved, that area will continue to be closed, and hence the school children are being taken to the other place. But no other details other than police are saying avoid the area.
And if you're in that area, please give us a call, 874-9390. A couple of quick texts. That's the same number. It's like a cell phone. We have a giant cell phone here in our studio. We can take phone calls on it, and we can take text. Mark giving points to Hannah for her joke on a convicted felon out on probation and parole who shot himself and then tried to run, shot himself in the leg.
David
tried to run.
David also called in and told me that I was very punny today.
Very punny. I believe that. I like that. So if you're seeing something in that area, if you're around there, just let us know. That way you can kind of help us give a heads up. Brian Hauswirth, Stephanie Bell, Hannah, the producer.
Brandon, real quick, KMIZ just broke in, and they're reporting that someone is barricaded and I'm a little unclear. Brian Hansen just handed this to me. Megan Drake is on scene reporting it as a barricaded person. So as soon as I hear back from Jeff Pitts, I'll let you know. I'll be back at the bottom of the hour.
All right, and we will get you updated again if you're in that area where that is happening. See, this is where we talk about community, man. Whether we're doing a charitable project or whatever, community. You're part of the community. 93.9 The Eagle, we're part of the community. You can call, let us know what you're seeing in an effort to help other people. My name is Branden Rathert. Welcome into Wake Up Columbia tonight. State of the Union address. Joe's going to get up there. New York Times, just a gush. It was that article, they wrote an article. It was a gusher, man. Just Joe, oh my God, over the past few days, he's completely redefined his presidency. Joe Biden, part of some really interesting history when it comes to State of the Union.
So he's just the fourth politician to deliver both a presidential address to Congress and previously the party's response to the State of the Union. So any ideas who the other three are?
No.
Gerald Ford, Bill Clinton, and George H.W. Bush.
So they've given responses to another president's State of the Union and then have given a state. Who did Joe Biden respond to?
Interestingly enough, the year I was born, he responded in '83 to Ronald Reagan. Can you? I mean, he is old.
Wow.
Now, did the two of you ever decide on the terms of your bet?
Oh.
You got to get that settled.
So we had this bet, because I'm reminded of the bet I did with Christopher Arps about a year and a half ago. Biden and Trump were going to debate, and I said, I don't think Biden's going to make any big gaffes tonight, because typically when he's on that, he's pretty good. Stephanie and I have a little fun bet going. I think tonight during the State of the Union, I think he plays it pretty straight. I don't think that he's going to make any big gaffes. Stephanie disagrees. Yesterday, a little friendly wager. By the way, I won my bet with Christopher Arps that year. I ended up still buying the steak dinner. But Stephanie and I...
Oh, wow. Look at you.
Stephanie and I have a little wager. I don't think he's going to make any big gaffes tonight. He's going to be right on. Stephanie is saying otherwise.
I mean, I don't know about big gaffes, but I don't think it's going to go...
Oh, she's backtracking.
No. I don't think it's going to go well. I think it's going to... I mean, last year, I think everyone kind of agreed, like, that's about as good as it could have gone for Joe. Also, I think Stuart texted in and said Branden should not be the judge, that listeners should be the judge of who wins the bet. And I totally agree, Stuart.
I was just getting ready to ask, who's the judge of what's a big gaffe versus a little gaffe?
Because we're not talking about the crap that he's going to spout, because we know that's what he's going to do, and I get it. State of the Union, it should be a rah-rah speech, probably filled with a lot of lies. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, just to be nice to another human being. But it's a gaffe, not crap. But like he'll get up and introduce Kamala Harris as the president of Denver or something like that. You're thinking something like that'll happen, which would be great, wouldn't it?
I think they'll be more like mumbling and stumbling, because I think, like Chris Arps said, on days when he gets to rest, all day long and then do the speech, he's done okay. But like the last week with everything going on in Ukraine, I don't feel like it's been a particularly easy week on him. And I think the stress of that might come out tonight in the fact that he's probably, not getting as much sleep, and he's probably having to go to more meetings and take less naps.
We'll have a full review tomorrow morning here, of course, on 93.9 The Eagle. Coming up about 8:26, Morning Bell business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you. What can we look forward to?
An update on Elon Musk.
Elon
Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle. The world is watching on Facebook Live. Are you?
Oh, no. I don't know the whole story yet. $8:28 time for the Morning Bell Business News with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
So yesterday I was talking about how Elon had tweeted that he was going to take some Starlink equipment and give it to Ukraine, put his satellites over there, basically allow them to have better internet access. Some of the infrastructure obviously has been disrupted. And some folks said, hey, Elon, why don't you help us out? He said, I'm going to. But there were a lot of reports like, is this going to work? Is it going to be expensive? Will it really help people? And there are people from Kyiv tweeting yesterday, and they actually had like that speed test thing showing like how fast the Starlink was. So they were like, hey, thanks, Elon, we're up and going. And actually, the Ukrainian vice prime minister tweeted out a picture of the back of like a box truck with all of the Starlink satellite dishes. And so said, thanks, Elon, here they are. He said, Starlink here. Thanks, Elon. So really exciting. I think, basically private industry is coming to the rescue of Ukrainians. Go Elon.
Very cool. By the way, there's a student at William Woods. Her name is Asami Terajima. She's got my Twitter follow. She's in Ukraine right now reporting on what's happening there while still trying to be a student at William Woods. Kudos on you.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. Ukraine's president says his country is fighting for survival under attack by the Russian military.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky received a standing ovation from the European Parliament as he addressed the chamber on a video link.
Nobody's going to break us. We're strong. We're Ukrainians.
Zelensky spoke through a translator who was emotional as the president described new deadly missile strikes.
Fox's Simon Owen. President Zelensky is asking for Ukraine to be allowed into the European Union. A study in New York finds the smaller coronavirus vaccine dose given to kids 5 to 11 does very little to stop infections just a month later.
The good news, the data shows the shots are safe, and while they may not prevent younger children from getting the coronavirus, it's likely that if they do, they won't be so sick that they need to be hospitalized.
Fox's Gary Baumgarten. America's listening to Fox News.
$93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:31. Bright sunshine here in Columbia. Gorgeous morning. 44 our current temperature. Expecting a high today of around 73. Clear skies tonight. Low near 38 tomorrow. On your Wednesday, sunny. High of 75. Today is Tuesday. It's March 1st, 2022. I'm Brian Hauswirth, and we begin this hour with our breaking news. What's going on right now at Garth and Worley in central Columbia. My colleague, ABC 17's Megan Drakus from our news partner, ABC 17 KMIZ, reports someone is barricaded in that area. Unclear if that person is inside the Oak Towers or near it or in the area, still unclear, but someone's barricaded inside either a home or an apartment, and because of that, the entire block around Oak Towers is closed. Officially, Joint Communications calling it a police incident. Again, this is the area near Garth and Worley in central Columbia, not far from the business loop. At least 10 police cruisers are in that area. I also just checked with Michelle Baumstark, CPS's Michelle Baumstark. We have some good news about the students. She tells 93.9 The Eagle that Ridgeway students are currently safe at Jefferson Middle School. that they're having breakfast right now at Jefferson, and Michelle Baumstark telling the Eagle that Ridgeway staff and central office staff are currently at Jefferson with the students. So the students are all safe right now, but they can't go back, the ones that go to school at Ridgeway, until the area is cleared. And again, a suspect apparently barricaded in the area near Garth and Worley. We'll keep you posted on that. Columbia Police very busy in the last 24 hours. They have a lot of personnel there. There are also detectives still trying to find a motorist who fired multiple shots at a teen during yesterday afternoon's road rage incident in East Columbia. It happened near a feed and supply store on I-70 Drive Southeast. That is just up the hill from Mosier's. I-70 Drive. ABC 17's Layla Mitchell spoke to the teen victim. She calls him John to protect his identity.
John was on the way home with his friends, all around the age of 16, when he missed his turn. He then went to make a U-turn on Glenstone Drive to get back on track, accidentally cutting off the car behind him. The situation then escalated to something John told me he never expected.
He was still there and then started rolling down the windows, and next moment we knew we were getting shot at.
He said he tried to drive away, but his car was hit so many times it would no longer drive.
That is ABC 17's Layla Mitchell, who spoke to the teen victim in that area right after it happened. Amazing video captured by Layla for her package for her story last night. No injuries reported. If you have any information, you're urged to call Crime Stoppers 573-875-TIPS. The victim in this case believes it was a tan vehicle, and he did see a baby or child in the back seat. No other details available. And a quick note, MU Healthcare relaxing restrictions on hospital and clinic visitors. Masks, though, will still be required. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by Tiger Towing. When you can't get going, call Tiger Towing, 573-449-3754, tigertowing.com. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 8:34. In sports, just a quick note here. The Mizzou men's basketball team with its final road game of the season tonight, South Carolina. And down there, they call it Carolina. They've got sweet tea, great food down there as well. Columbia, South Carolina, Mizzou, and the Gamecocks. 6 o'clock tonight. Hear all the action. Mike Kelly, Chris Trevino. 5:30 on the Zimmer Central Bank Tiger Radio Network, KCMQ. Javon Pickett recording a double-digit scoring 13 straight SEC games. Joel Klein, I've talked about him a couple times this morning. He'll have the broadcast color commentary on ESPNU. Slater High School, you might see on some websites saying Colorado Springs. Trust me, folks, he grew up in Slater, Missouri. There is still a jersey hung up in that gym. His number is retired at Slater High School. I've been in it many times to do games when I worked in Carrollton, and he played at Notre Dame and was a star for Eddie Sutton at Arkansas. Had a great career with the Chicago Bulls, but he'll be on the broadcast tonight. 93.9 The Eagle Sports brought to you by Tiger Towing. When you can't get going, call Tiger Towing, 573-449-3754, tigertowing.com. Our news time, 8:35. And our traffic check is with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Just a quick reminder, Garth and Worley is still closed, the entire block, due to a police incident. ABC 17's Megan Drakus reporting a person is barricaded in that area. No other details available. I'm still waiting to hear back from CPD. Jeff Pitts is just got his hands full right now. But as soon as I hear from them, I'll let you know. More team coverage at 9:03. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Well, I was born and raised in Scranton, PA, lifeguard by the
TV? Remember the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Or was that a little before your time?
Barely.
Will Smith, right? Yes. And the father was a phenomenal actor. I don't know if he's still alive, but I remember the show. Yes, it was really a good show.
All right, Hannah, are you familiar with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Are you familiar with the TV show?
Yeah. I haven't lived with my head under a rock for my 21 years. Come on.
Yeah, but see, sometimes you say that. I'll say, hey, are you familiar with this? And you act like I'm stupid. Well, of course I remember that, Branden. And then I'll mention something else, and I'm astounded you don't know, and you get mad that, well, of course I don't know. It's before my time.
Right. No, but the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is like a universal.
Because you know it?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Wake Up Columbia. Hannah, the producer, Brian Hauswirth, Stephanie Bell. I'm Branden Rathert. We continue to watch this situation in Columbia right now.
Yeah, we do, Branden, and I'll give you guys a quick update as best I can, and then I'll take off. I'm waiting to hear back from Jeff Pitts. If need be, I'll go out to the scene if I need to, but if Andy gets here and if I need to go. What we have right now, based on Megan Drakis' reporting, the police have not confirmed this, but Megan is on scene. She's impeccable, so she's gotten it obviously from either sources or witnesses. Someone is barricaded either in the towers or near the towers, and because of that, the area around Garth and Worley remains closed. The entire block, I've confirmed that with Joint Communications, is closed. The good news for parents who have students over at Ridgeway that have been taken over to Jefferson, Michelle tells me that all the central staff is over there right now. The kids are safe. They're eating breakfast, so the kids are safe. But again, the suspect's still barricaded.
Right, thank you. Thank you. By the way, Brad, off text, that Biden rap was awesome. Where can I find it? I don't know. I don't even remember who sent it to me. But you would be able to go back and listen in the Wake Up Columbia podcast. You go to 939theeagle.com. Wake Up Columbia on demand every time. Or every day, all the time, anytime you want, just go to our website tonight. So, Biden, by the way, I want to play something funny in case you're newer to the show. I don't want you to get the wrong impression of, God, all they ever do is make fun of Biden and criticize the White House. That's not all we do. We also criticize local school officials. No, we do a lot of things. But I do want to highlight kind of a lighter moment that happened at the White House yesterday. But we have a listener, Darren. And from time, he says he's actually been watching this morning on our YouTube channel. We're back up on YouTube. And from time to time, when he's working with somebody, he's like, hey, check out Wake Up Columbia. And it's funny because it's happened more than once in recent months. And they listen to the show, somebody that typically doesn't listen to talk radio. And they're kind of like, that's interesting. They have this preconceived notion because news talk radio, in my opinion, has crapped on itself over the years, and a lot of it's become a parody of itself. And then we come along, and I just look to the success of the show and say, see, this works. But he's got another guy with him today, and they've been watching on YouTube.
Fun.
And I said, well, what does he think so far? And his first response was, whatever. And I said, well, here's some questions. I say, even separate of what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, gas prices a year ago, where they were. I said, just ask the guy, and do it nicely. Ask him, is he happy paying higher gas prices? And he apparently asked him. And he said, well, no. How does he feel about some of our troops and that sloppy pullout in Afghanistan, including a kid from Missouri who died? How does he feel about that? Just honest questions that you could say without being, well, what do you think about this? He's just asking him these questions. I thought it was kind of interesting.
I had Rusty checking in this morning. He had sent me a picture of gas. He paid more than $60, and he said I could go for some mean tweets and $1.50 gas right about now.
We were trying to figure, apparently, the gallon of milk, and I don't know historically how this works. Is a gallon of milk about the same as a gallon of gasoline? Because we brought this up earlier this morning, and I'll tell you, the big things that people are talking about here today, the cost of milk and crunchy or creamy peanut butter. That's what's hot with Hannah today. We do What's Hot with Hannah every morning, 7:25. Put it on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page, and it's blowing up. Creamy or crunchy? Is there like an overall theme? Creamy wins, crunchy wins?
I think creamy wins.
Creamy wins. Stephanie.
Even though I didn't want them to win.
Creamy.
Stephanie's a creamy gal. I'm crunchy. Hannah's. We never sought Hauswirth's opinion on this. Anyhow, okay.
And I can get over the milk prices and the gas prices. You know what I can't get over? The price of bacon.
Really? Is that pretty high?
It's horrible right now.
Listen, I don't know what it's like when you go to the grocery store. But last week, a couple of weeks ago, I was going to make chili or I was going to do some clam chowder. And in my clam chowder, my world-famous recipe for clam chowder.
What?
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it starts with
World famous.
World-famous clam chowder
According
recipe.
to who? You?
According to Branden Rathert, the guy who's never lost $1 million bet. My world-famous clam chowder recipe starts with a can of Progresso clam chowder.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
You're kidding.
No.
So it's not your world famous recipe. It's Progresso's.
It's doctored.
It's
store-bought. Yeah.
Oh, good grief.
I saute the shrimp with bacon and pour it all in there, and there's fresh celery and extra clams and all this stuff. So I was going to do that or chili. I thought, shrimp's kind of expensive, so I'm going to get stuff for chili. A pound of ground beef.
It's crazy.
Was more expensive than shrimp.
Yikes.
Man. How do you like that? How do you like paying more for ground beef than shrimp, huh? How about that? Okay, lighthearted moment from the White House. By the way.
What a segue.
Squirrel. Stephanie's uncovered something really interesting. Joe Biden is going to make history tonight, or he is going to be a part of history. But first, so people don't think all you do is you're negative. Listen, we all want the president to do well. We want,
Trump said that on the CPAC stage. Yeah. I'm a fan of America. I want America to do well, and that means I want my president to do well.
He said it at CPAC, where Stephanie was this past weekend. He has said it in the past. He has said it on Sean Hannity. We want the country to do well. But anyhow, I wanted to share a lighthearted moment from the White House. Jen Psaki doing a presser. And you can't hear the question really well, but it's a guy asking apparently some small rumors that were circulating on social media. Potentially had Jen Psaki go into CNN or MSNBC because CNN has a slew of openings because a lot of the dudes there apparently can't keep their hands to themselves. So she was asked by this reporter, are you going to go to MSNBC or CNN?
You are looking for a job at CNN or MSNBC?
I have more than enough on my plate here, and so you can't get rid of me quite yet. Sorry, Peter, for you on that.
Of course, she was referring to Peter Doocy from Fox News.
They have such a special relationship. You've talked about that before. It's hilarious.
They have both said publicly they have a great affection for one another, and in the hallways, the stuff that we don't get to see, they're great friends. All right. One of the things we ran out of time to do. I don't know whether to include this in leftovers or do this now. Wedding photographers over the years.
It's about time you get on this topic.
Wedding photographers over the years say, you know what? We've taken pictures from the weddings that we have done, and then these people that are divorced within a relatively short time, and there's some commonalities in there. And here's the one that surprised me, a cake fight. It's going to sound totally cheesy, but a cake fight, a playful smear of icing on the nose, apparently not, but like an actual cake fight.
I've heard that one before, actually, that is this bad sign. And it has something to do with like the fact that you're like intentionally trying to embarrass your spouse in front of others. And so like if you ever go to counseling or whatever and they tell you like don't speak ill of your, you've been around those people who like in groups without their spouse like bash their spouse and they say like that's one thing not to do. I think I've heard that and it does. I didn't do the cake smashing. Now you've been divorced twice. Did you do cake smashing in your face?
In the second one for sure. The first, yeah, there was. And I don't remember the first one at all. Other wedding photographers say obvious signs of contempt in the wedding photos when it's all about the bride. Photographers say, from what they have seen over the years, marriage typically doomed for failure if the bride is more focused on her and
I'm going to argue with that one. I mean, the wedding day really is like all about the bride. Come on.
Stephanie, were you
I was not. I was
a bridezilla?
I was not bridezilla. I was very organized.
Should we ask your husband?
And how long have you been married?
14 years.
Not-
But I wasn't bridezilla, but at the same time, like, dudes are just kind of like along for the ride. And I think for women, they spent so much time planning and so much effort and work to make the day perfect. And so it's not all about you, but you have invested so much time in planning it that it really is, you want it to go the way that you've planned.
Well, and ideally, you only have one wedding day, so you do want it to go right.
Who told you that?
I said ideally.
Well, and and you start out the day like, and then you're just like, I just want to have fun, and so, I remember late in the night, I had this big long train and they'd bustled it up. Branden, if you don't know what that means, you kind of like clip up the skirt on these like loops. And I think it was my sister stepped on the back of my train and just like ripped the dress.
Oh,
and
no.
My photographer was like, turn around, I got safety pins. And at that point I was like, who cares? I'm married. Don't care.
I have good news and I have bad news. You want the good news first or the bad news?
I want the bad news first.
Well, the good news is...
Thanks.
No, the bad news is... Okay, I'll give you the good news first. Gary Nolan is back today. We've had some people asking via text, hey, is Gary okay? He's back today. Bad news is... I think we're going to delay the start of his show because I would love Stephanie to go on about how marriage and a wedding is all about you and her. Go on. We'll start the Gary Nolan show about 9:30.
You will learn. We should get, our former showmate Andy Humphrey is engaged, and I'm sure, like the women pick everything down to the detail and they really care about the day.
So it is all about her?
It's not all about her, but it's important that she feel important and that things go her way that day. And I think, when you show up like as a bridesmaid in another wedding, in someone else's wedding, I think, your focus should be on not only her, but him, but that they're having, a really good day and that it's their day, but it's her day. It's her day. Let's be honest. It's her day.
Hey, I want to mention this real quick because I think we're going to do some leftovers here at 8:55.
If you have time.
Yeah, if I have time. Actually, I'll get to that text later because I don't want to be a buzzkill here.
Oh, great.
We're going to see if we can get to some leftovers here at 8:55 before we get into the Gary Nolan show here on 93.9.
Hi, this is the voice of the Tigers, Mike Kelly. This is Wake Up Columbia on Hot Talk 93.9. The Eagle. Branden, Rathert? I don't know any Rathert.
Here's a big old serving of leftovers on 93.9 The Eagle. Enjoy.
All right, couple things that we didn't get to in the show before we slide into the Gary Nolan show here on 93.9. The Eagle. I want to mention this really quick. I was talking about this conversation we're having with one of our listeners via text right now. They're watching on YouTube. Search 93.9 The Eagle on YouTube. You can watch every day. But he was watching. He's invited a friend who he says is a Democrat, and said, "Hey, check this show out. May not be what you think." We got to having some conversations. I said, ask him some simple questions, i.e., even prior to Russia-Ukraine, is he happier paying higher gas prices? It is a fact. Biden took office, gas prices went up. That's a fact. You can't dispute that. And then the pullout of Afghanistan. And I said, ask him, how does he feel about losing some Americans, including a kid here from Missouri? And Stuart reminded me, Joe didn't kill a kid from Missouri. Joe killed a Marine from Missouri. Thank you for that. What else we got in leftovers?
A little trivia for those of you watching tonight. Biden will be the fourth politician to deliver both a presidential address to Congress and have given the response to the State of the Union.
And his first response was?
The year I was born. He responded to President...
She doesn't want to reveal the year.
President Reagan is when he gave the response. Can you believe that? 3 others have given or are in the same position. That is Ford, Clinton, and Bush 41.
So the year Stephanie was born, Biden gave the response to Ronald Reagan's State of the Union speech. So the big takeaway as we wrap up the show this morning here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle is that Stephanie is almost 40 years old.
is that I'm old, but Joe Biden is really old.
Wow. Obviously, we will have our eyeballs on the State of the Union tonight. And by the way, I always like to mention this. It's a thing I do. It's not for me to tell you what to do because you're smart. You're going to do your own thing and think for yourself. I always love to watch the State of the Union and then immediately turn off the TV so I can form my own opinions on what happened. We'll have our analysis bright and early tomorrow morning here on Wake Up Columbia. See ya.
Bye.